Chapter 241. Mountain Blocking City's Military Encampment. Brother Mi, whose face was filled with nervousness, slowly walked forward with his hands in his pockets. Although he guessed that there was an 80% chance that the news was a trap, Brother Mi did not make any preparations. After all, he was already in someone else's territory. If Mountain Blocking City really wanted to take him down, he would not be able to escape even if he grew wings. Thus, he did not have to waste any effort. "Old Mi, over here." A middle-aged man in dark green uniform waved his hand at Brother Mi. At the same time, he surveyed the surroundings as if he was worried that someone would jump out and cause trouble. Seeing the other party's actions, Brother Mi felt a little more at ease. Similarly, he cautiously walked toward the other party. "Brother Zhao, you said before." Brother Mi took the initiative to ask the middle-aged man when he arrived in front of him. However, before he could finish his sentence, he heard a crackling sound and his vision instantly turned blurry. "I'm sorry, old Mi. It's all for the sake of living." Brother Zhao looked apologetically at Brother Mi, who was in a daze, and mumbled softly. When Brother Mi woke up again, he realized that he was already in a tent filled with miscellaneous items. His face could not help but reveal a look of despair. He raised his head and let out a long sigh. He should not have listened to that black snake. Now that he had entered the tiger's den, he was completely out of options. "Oh, you're awake. Your physical quality is not bad." A somewhat frivolous voice rang out. Soon after, a man whose entire body was wrapped in bandages slowly appeared in his field of vision. The man walked toward him naturally, then casually pulled a chair over and sat down. He crossed his arms and coldly looked at Brother Mi, who was sitting across from him. In a cold voice, he said, "Brother Mi, this is the first time we've met. As for whether it's the last time, it all depends on whether you cooperate or not. I heard that you've been inquiring about our mountain blocking city recently. Now that I'm sitting across from you, what do you want to ask? I'll answer you." Brother Mi could not see the appearance of the bandaged man. However, the other party's exposed eyes emitted a mountain-like pressure. When they landed lightly on his body, it brought him endless pressure. Brother Mi's lips moved. He subconsciously wanted to open his mouth to reply. However, in the next moment, Brother Mi forcibly stopped this impulse and only silently looked at the bandaged man. What could this bandaged man do to him? He was just torturing him and forcing him to reveal his purpose. If he had listened to the black snake's words and gritted his teeth, there would naturally be no problem. However, if he were to open his mouth and say something he shouldn't, he would immediately die in the camp of Mountain Blocking City. There might not even be anyone to collect his corpse. Bang, bang. Just as Brother Mi was thinking about his gains and losses, two waves of intense pain came from his abdomen. His stomach churned and he almost vomited after being hit by the bandaged man. Hiss, hee. Brother Mi sucked in a breath of cold air and slowly recovered from the intense pain. He raised his head once again and his gaze fell upon the bandaged man who had his hands on his head. The bandaged man narrowed his eyes slightly and said in a deep voice, "This is getting interesting. I like tough bones. Prying open the stubborn teeth of people like you will give me a great sense of accomplishment." As he spoke, an undetectable ruthlessness and viciousness flashed across the bandaged man's eyes. He looked at Brother Mi, who was stubbornly holding on, without any shame or disappointment. On the contrary, the bandaged man was rather excited. At night, there was still a long way to go. 20 minutes later, Lin Yuan, who was lurking outside the camp of the Human Alliance army, narrowed his eyes slightly. Naturally, he would not blindly watch Brother Mi enter the Mountain Blocking City's encampment. Through Sherdong, he had contacted a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, who was ostensibly a mercenary, to monitor Brother Mi's every move. Now that the time was up, the agreed signal had yet to appear. Therefore, Lin Yuan had already guessed that Brother Mi had been captured by the people of Mountain Blocking City. Damn it, why isn't he back yet? Lin Yuan's face slightly stiffened as he cursed in a low voice. If the purple-eyed youth was still in the Mountain Blocking City's encampment, the other party would definitely not capture Brother Mi. Even if they did, they would find a way to release him. The current situation could only mean that the people of Mountain Blocking City wanted to uncover Lin Yuan, who had been secretly digging for information about them and were prepared to eliminate him at any time. After pondering for a moment, a cold glint flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes, and his heart grew colder. He did not know whether Brother Mi's bones were tough or not, but he knew that no matter how strong a person's will was, as long as he was continuously tortured to extort a confession, his psychological defense would collapse sooner or later. He and the Fire Kirin were currently resting in Brother Mi's small courtyard. If Brother Mi spat in there, Mountain Blocking City would definitely send people to capture them. Although they might not be able to capsize them, it would definitely disturb the Fire Kirin, causing it to speed up the process of leaving Shunning City. Or wait a little longer? Between the two choices, Lin Yuan's heart was infinitely inclined to kill, but his rationality was playing tricks on him. At this moment, a group of fast horses galloped slowly into Lin Yuan's line of sight. The one leading the group was the purple-eyed youth that Lin Yuan was looking for. However, at this moment, the purple-eyed youth looked obviously a little battered, and the personal guards behind him were all covered with injuries of various sizes. There were even two who were so severely injured that they could not even ride their horses. The purple-eyed youth at the front of the group did not seem to have any injuries, but the exhaustion on his face could not be concealed. During this period of time, he had been secretly inquiring about the purple-eyed youth, and even Brother Mi had failed. He did not expect that when the other party turned back to Shunning City, he would actually run into him. Stop! All of a sudden, a somewhat familiar thought appeared within Lei Fan's mind. Lei Fan was startled, and subconsciously used his left hand to pull on the reins, while his right hand landed on the hilt behind his waist. Young Master! Young Master? One by one, their gazes fell upon Lei Fan. Some were wary, some were frightened, and some even showed signs of helplessness. Their young master's sensitivity towards danger was no less than that of a wild beast. Along the way, every time he stopped, it meant that danger was near him. If not for his keen intuition, most of them would not have been able to make it here alive. But at this moment, things were not looking good. Don't think that the area around Shunning City was the territory of humans. However, there were quite a number of demonic beasts roaming around here, and each of them were the main force of the demonic beast tide. Hence, if they were to bump into demonic beasts here, it would be the most dangerous existence, and no one would be willing to die just a little bit outside the safety zone. Chapter 242. It's me, behind you to the right. Lin Yuan once again used his mind to say a sentence, and his heterochromatic pupils revealed a bit of indifference. Lei Fan followed Lin Yuan's instructions and slowly turned his gaze to the right, behind him, and could not help but let out a long sigh. This black snake that had disappeared for a long time had actually appeared before him in such a manner. But since it was a black snake, it meant that they had already escaped the death stare. You guys go on ahead, I have something to do. Lei Fan pulled on the reins and urged his horse towards Lin Yuan's direction. At the same time, he lowered his voice and said, My safety will not be an issue, and the matter I am going to do is very private. Execute the order immediately. As Lei Fan's personal guards, every single one of them was an existence akin to death warriors. When Lei Fan had turned his head around earlier, they had naturally seen He Shi standing at the right rear. If Lei Fan were to give the order to attack at this moment, they would definitely execute Lei Fan's orders without any hesitation. But towards Lei Fan's orders, a majority of them showed signs of hesitation on their faces. I said, execute the order. Seeing that his personal guards were not moving, Lei Fan's face darkened as he roared out. The group of personal guards then reluctantly urged their horses towards the direction of the campsite, but from time to time, they would turn back to look at Lei Fan, who was urging his horse towards the black snake, as if the black snake made any strange movements, they would immediately raise their swords and charge. About 2 minutes later, Lei Fan urged his horse to come before Lin Yuan, his deep purple eyes narrowing as he said in a low voice, Yo, isn't this the black snake beast king that has reigned supreme in the Hengduan Mountains? Why have you appeared here? Looking at the calm and collected black snake, Lei Fan could not help but speak in a sarcastic tone. Although he did not know where his confidence came from, But he just felt that if the Black Snake had not left the Stoneclaw Forest some time ago, this war against the humans would not have started at all. Don't speak in a sarcastic tone with me. I am here because I have something important to discuss with you. A cold glint flashed in Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes as he said, "You should know about the fire, Kirin. I met it some time ago and we are hiding together in Shunning City. You have to join hands with me to kill it. This will benefit both of us." Hearing Lin Yuan's straight-to-the-point words, Lei Fan was so angry that he almost laughed out loud. What level was the fire Kirin? It was an existence that could wreak havoc in the Hengduan mountain range and challenge Kirin's rule. If they were to go against the fire Kirin, wouldn't they be so embarrassed that they wouldn't even know how they died? Furthermore, the war against the Shenwu dynasty this time was instigated by the Beast Lord Kirin. Killing the fire Kirin would not bring any benefits to the war. On the contrary, it would help the Beast Lord Kirin get rid of one of his greatest worries. If he waited until the Beast Lord Kirin no longer had any misgivings and decided to come out of seclusion once again, there would be countless casualties. When that time came, he, Lei Fan, would be a sinner. You're trying to trick me again? Black Snake, I can King tell, you're just trying to trick me. Think about it yourself, aren't you going overboard? Ever since we started working together, I have tried my best to fulfill all your requests. But what I asked for, you have not fulfilled at all. Why can't I see that I have to kill the fire Kirin no matter what? Can't you explain it to me? If I really kill the fire Kirin, it won't bring me any benefits. Why should I and my men risk our lives to help you kill the fire Kirin? Don't you think I look like a big idiot to you? Lei Fan spoke very quickly, but all kinds of question marks kept popping up in his mind. All the dissatisfaction that he had been suppressing in his heart all this time exploded out at this moment. Of course, it's to survive. Lin Yuan's eyes shone brightly as he replied with a smile. In a deep voice, he said, "You can't possibly be thinking that a desolate demon realm existence is hiding in a human city just to eat the specialty snacks of Shunning City, right? When the fire Kirin attacks, even if you want to react, it will be too late. Also, only if you join hands with me to kill the fire Kirin, then I can bring the head of the fire Kirin to see the Beast Lord Kirin, or maybe someone who can talk to it, and ask them to stop their attack on Shunning City." At this point, Lin Yuan paused for a moment before he opened his mouth again and said, "You can't possibly be thinking that the demonic beasts really can't do anything to Shunning City, right? To put it bluntly, they can drive the low-level demonic beasts or wild beasts to attack Shunning City at any time, constantly consuming the energy and ammunition of your defensive array. Maybe you can hold on for 10 days. But can you hold on for a month, or 2 months?" When his voice fell, Lin Yuan's eyes were filled with ridicule. As a stronghold of the Shenwu dynasty, Shunning City did indeed have the power to face the attacks of all the demonic beasts around the Stoneclaw Forest. But that was under normal circumstances. Now that the Shenwu dynasty was besieged on all sides, in a precarious situation, and could be destroyed at any time, the other 3 fronts of the war were constantly receiving urgent battle reports and requests for reinforcements. The allocation of resources was also given to the other 3 fronts as soon as possible. As for the 7 border cities that were abandoned from the beginning, and were only used to delay the demonic beasts in the Hengduan mountains, it was impossible for them to receive any supplies. Lin Yuan knew this point, and Lei Fan knew it even better. Most of the demonic beasts' reproductive ability was extremely terrifying, especially the low-level demonic beasts, who could give birth to 7 to 8 cubs in one litter. Every year, in order to relieve the pressure on the Hengduan mountains, those demonic beasts with no potential would be sent out to form a demonic beast tide to die in the human cities. But this time, if the demonic beasts really wanted to use the shameless demonic beast tide tactic, the humans would have no way to stop them. Exchanging 10 low-level demonic beasts for 1 human, it was a profit for the demonic beasts. All kinds of crossbows and cannons could cause a large amount of damage to the low-level demonic beasts, but in the current situation where the ammunition was limited, Shunning City could only grit their teeth and engage in close combat with the low-level demonic beasts, leaving the ammunition for the high-level demonic beasts behind. With the head of the fire Kirin, how confident are you in persuading the Beast Lord Kirin to withdraw his troops? After calmly pondering for a moment, Lei Fan took the initiative to ask. The disparity in strength between the two sides was too great, and no matter how hard he tried, he could not think of a way to break the stalemate. About 40%, but although I do not have full confidence in persuading the Beast Lord Kirin to withdraw his troops, I can still make these demonic beasts stop their attacks and give you some time to catch your breath. As for the specifics, it still depends on whether the imperial family of the Shenwu dynasty is willing to cooperate or not. If they are willing, I can think of a way to let the Shenwu dynasty continue to exist, and at the same time, retain a certain amount of land. Lin Yuan did not say anything big, but just replied Lei Fan's question in a casual manner. Chapter 243. This. Lei Fan muttered to himself for a moment, unable to make up his mind. Although the black snake had often teased him, but strictly speaking, if the black snake was a human, it could easily take up any position in the Shenwu dynasty. No matter if it was a small county magistrate or a prime minister who ruled the world, the black snake's ability was more than enough. A person with ability to make a promise would naturally have a certain degree of bonus points. Even so, can you tell me why? Must you kill the Fire Kirin? Lei Fan's eyes flashed with doubt, and when he raised his eyes, there was only silence. The black snake's ambition was huge, and from its actions after it had taken the throne of the Beast King, Lei Fan could tell that the black snake was not an existence that was willing to be a salted fish. What the limits of its ambition were, no one knew. The Beast King Kirin could be one of the targets in the black snake's eyes. If there was the Fire Kirin, the Beast King Kirin might still have some reservations, not daring to recklessly investigate the existence of the Demon Emperor's Council in the Hengduan Mountains. But once the Fire Kirin died, the shackles on the Beast King Kirin's body would instantly be broken by more than half. You should be able to tell that my cultivation level is stuck at the Wisdom level 10, and I need a little bit of help before I can break through to the next level. And in the entire Hengduan Mountains, if you don't count in the spirit creatures that I met by chance, only the Beast King Kirin has the ability to give me such resources, and even gain the appreciation of the Beast King Kirin. Using the words of you humans, as long as I kill the Fire Kirin, I will be promoted and rich. Lin Yuan smiled, and opened his mouth to ask again, tell me, what reason do I have not to kill it? From Lei Fan's point of view, although he felt that the black snake was lying to him, but he still could not find any way to refute the black snake's words. After all, what it said was reasonable, and within a short period of time, the black snake could only struggle to survive under the command of the Beast King Kirin. With such a good opportunity in front of its eyes, the black snake could not possibly not cherish it. But Wisdom level 10? Surprise flashed in Lei Fan's eyes. At this moment, even he began to doubt the authenticity of the legend at the beginning of the conference of the Demon Emperor. Could this black snake really be the reincarnation of an ancient demon emperor who wanted to establish a supreme demon court that was more glorious than the 7 dynasties combined? He remembered that when he first heard about the black serpent was only a spirit awakening demonic beast. If it wasn't for the fact that the black snake was only at the 10th level of the spirit awakening realm and had continuously won, he wouldn't have cared about a demonic beast like this. Later, when the black snake ruled the Stoneclaw Forest, he officially came into contact with it. At that time, the black snake was only at the 1st level of the Wisdom realm and had an extremely violent temper. Any demonic beast that reached out their claws towards it would immediately have their claws cut off. How much time had passed? 2 seasons? Winter had yet to pass, and there was still a long way to go before the spring season when all things would come to an end. Yet, this black snake was only a step away from the Mountain Lord realm? I got it. Lei Fan nodded his head heavily, his eyes shining brightly as he said, Shunning City has 2 strong practitioners of the Void Realm. One of them is Shunning City's gatekeeper, Yan Xingqi, and the other is Freedom Courtyard's Master Qin. The faction behind me still has some face, and to invite these 2 to take action against a Fire Kirin, is that enough? Just as Lei Fan's voice fell, Lin Yuan's eyes turned strange, just like when Lei Fan had heard that he was already at the 10th level of the Wisdom realm. Was that enough? It was definitely enough. The current fire Kirin had just been revived not too long ago, and at most, it only had the strength of an early-stage desolate demon realm cultivator. To be able to find two beings of the same level as it to fight against it, the battle could be said to be completely one-sided. But when these words came out of Lei Fan's mouth, it made Lin Yuan feel a little out of place. The faction behind him still has some face? Of the Void Realm practitioners of the Shenwu dynasty, there were only about 80 of them who were still active, and all of them were top-notch practitioners who came from top clans. Just a casual word from them could decide the life and death of millions of people, and normal factions would not even be taken seriously by them. How much face did they have to be able to invite two Void Realm practitioners? My surname is Lei, and my name is Fan. Seeing the strange look in the black snake's eyes, Lei Fan cleared his throat and took the initiative to announce his family name. It was only at this moment that the puzzled look in Lin Yuan's eyes dissipated slightly. He had always thought that there was a mysterious family behind Lei Fan, and even if their strength could not be compared to the remnants of the Jiao clan in the Shenwu dynasty, they would still be a top-tier existence. But he had never thought that this Lei Fan was actually from the imperial family. That year, if not for the Beast Lord Kirin's sudden intervention, the entire Jiao clan would have been destroyed that day. Hence, the Emperor God had never liked the demonic beasts, and any action against the demonic beasts, the Emperor God had always been the most active one. Hence, Lin Yuan had never thought that the person who was sent by the faction behind him to negotiate with the demonic beasts in the Hengduan Mountains would actually be a descendant of the imperial family with a noble bloodline. My surname is indeed Lei, but it's not what you think. My father is not the Emperor God, and we can only be considered as distant relatives. But more or less, we have some relations. Those who do not know about my background would choose to give the Lei family some face. After all, they still have to live in the Shenwu dynasty's territory, isn't that so? Lei Fan blinked his eyes, his voice carrying a hint of mockery. Then it's decided. Lin Yuan smiled and said in a deep voice, as long as you can invite the existence of the Void Realm to kill the Fire Kirin for me, I can think of a way to persuade the group of Beast Kings to retreat temporarily and not continue to put pressure on Shunning City. I hope this time you won't lie to me. Lei Fan said faintly. Happy working with you. Lin Yuan's eyes shone with joy, but he did not reply. Happy working with you. Lei Fan replied with a helpless look on his face. Things had already come to this stage, even if he did not want to board the pirate ship, he had to. If the Fire Kirin escaped, who knew what the Black Snake would do? Others did not know how terrifying the Black Snake's subordinates were, but he knew very well. Thinking of those members of the Association of the Demon Emperor who could enter the Hengduan Mountains without saying a word and start a massacre in the territories of the various Beast Kings, he felt a chill down his spine. Then I'll take my leave first? Lei Fan asked subconsciously. Without waiting for Lin Yuan to reply, he had already turned his horse around, preparing to head towards the direction of the campsite. Although he had the Black Snake to back him up, but if he stayed in the wild for too long, he would still be in danger. There's one more thing. Lin Yuan then thought of Brother Mi who had been captured and was now suffering. Chapter 244. Lei Fan's movements stiffened as he turned around to look at the Black Snake in a daze, the expression on his face somewhat conflicted. After all, out of 10 sentences that the Black Snake spoke, 9 out of 10 sentences were to set him up and the other one was to pave the way. When the matter of killing Fire Kirin was settled and both parties had reached an agreement, Lin Yuan suddenly said that he still had a favor to ask of him. That was most likely to be a trap that he had set for him. Because of the Fire Qilin, I have been looking for people to inquire about you. However, I was discovered by your people. After that, they set up a trap and tricked my people into it. I reckon that they have been caught by now. I'll have to trouble you to pay more attention when you go back and release them as soon as possible. When Lin Yuan said those words, his heart did not waver at all. However, the expression on Lei Fan's face was unusually interesting. After all, although the other party was inquiring about him, during this period of time, that person had probably been clashing with Luo Su and Li Zhongxing. Moreover, once such a thing had happened, it would definitely be impossible to hide it. Now, not to mention the people in Mountain Blocking City, even the garrison troops in the nearby cities would probably know about it. If he were to go back at this time and casually ask a few questions before releasing them, that would be a huge slap to his own face. In fact, this matter was not complicated at all. If Brother Me had directly gone to Mountain Blocking City's encampment and said that he was looking for Lei Fan, Mountain Blocking City would not have laid a hand on him. However, Brother Me was after all a member of the underworld and did not like to deal with such people. He preferred to secretly gather all kinds of information. However, the mercenary guild was a mixed bag of crooks and honest people. Today, they would sell you information for benefits, and tomorrow, they would sell you out to please others. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before Brother Me was exposed. However, Brother Me did not expect that Lin Yuan would be so eager to deal with Fire Kirin that he would still request for Brother Me to meet him despite knowing that Mountain Blocking City might have set a trap for him. Alright, I got it. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Lei Fan's brows furrowed slightly but soon relaxed. He shrugged his shoulders and said, "It's hard to say. Perhaps because of the delay we have caused, your men have already been executed by them." Lin Yuan. Were their methods so wild? They did not even ask about the purpose of their visit and executed them directly? After giving a reply to Lin Yuan, Lei Fan did not stay any longer and immediately urged his horse to gallop in the direction of the campsite. At the same time, Lin Yuan slowly turned his head and said expressionlessly, "Get your ass in front of me before I get angry. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." Tap tap tap. Following the sound of footsteps, a smiling Bai Lu slowly appeared in Lin Yuan's line of sight. "Black Snake Beast King, long time no see." Only the white deer knew how genuine and fake the smile on its face was. However, at this moment, facing an old acquaintance with a face full of smiles, unless one was an ice-cold robot, no one would dare to make a move. "What did you hear?" Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and the water attribute spiritual energy in the air began to gather. Bai Lu's eyes widened. His acting skills were at full capacity. It took less than a second for his smile to turn into confusion. He asked, "I didn't hear anything. I just saw you from afar and wanted to come over to say hello." "Why are you stood behind me for 10 minutes. During that time, you stepped on the ground 5 times, used your antlers to scratch the trees 3 times, and..." Lin Yuan continued to gather the water attribute spiritual energy, but his mouth continued to point out all the little actions that Bai Lu had done behind him. Every word that came out of his mouth was colder than the previous one. After all, the olfactory imaging could now detect a range of 32,000 meters. Bai Lu had been hiding less than 100 meters behind him. Although he had been able to avoid Lei Fan's detection, he had not been able to avoid Lin Yuan's olfactory imaging. "It's nothing much. It's just about you guys going against the Fire Kirin." After being exposed by Lin Yuan, Bai Lu's face did not show the slightest bit of embarrassment. He said loudly, "Honestly speaking, for such a good thing where you can just lie down and win, don't tell me you're not prepared to bring an old friend like me along? You must know, no matter how much the Beast King Kirin appreciates you, without a strong tribe or alliance behind you, your position in the monstrous Beast King's court will not be that high." Saying that, Bai Lu's tone was somewhat mocking. Was the Black Snake strong? Very strong. None of the Beast Kings around the Stoneclaw Forest dared to provoke the Black Snake. Even though a large number of them were here for the Black Snake, if the Black Snake did not show any signs of fatigue, these Beast Kings would not have the guts to touch the Stoneclaw Forest. But the Black Snake did not have a strong power behind it. It was said that there was a desolate demon realm existence who had taken a fancy to the Black Snake's potential and was even willing to help it suppress the Green Swamp tribe. But during the period when the Black Snake had disappeared, that powerful existence had given up on the Black Snake. Recently, the Green Swamp tribe had started to stir again, as if they were going to wipe out the remnants of the Black Snake's power. But at this time, the Black Snake had actually appeared of its own accord. Even Bai Lu, who was an outsider, could sense that a good show was about to unfold. Based on what? Lin Yuan raised his eyelids and asked calmly. "Based on the fact that the tribe behind me is the 9-colored deer, based on the fact that the tribe I was born in is called the Mist-Treading Mist. Bai Lu's expression turned serious, and two sharp rays of light flashed in his eyes. Nine-colored deer was a type of beast, but it was gentle and kind by nature. If it encountered a helpless life form, regardless of whether it was a human or a beast, the nine-colored deer would do its best to help it. In the eyes of humans, the nine-colored deer could not be eaten, and in some customs, the nine-colored deer was regarded as the incarnation of the gods. Even in the world of beast kings, the nine-colored deer could heal injuries and provide buffs, and it was still in existence that normal beast kings did not dare to provoke. After all, no one knew what kind of existence the nine-colored deer had helped. The purple-eyed youth was a disciple of the Shenwu dynasty's Lei family. This Bai Lu was also a member of the nine-colored deer clan. Following his own cultivation talent, Lin Yuan finally discovered once again that even his background seemed to be inferior to that of others. Fortunately, he was a cheater. Black Snake, killing the fire Kirin is a great merit. You definitely won't be able to take it all by yourself. If the news spreads, countless beast kings will want to kill you before you meet the beast king Kirin. Even if you meet the beast king Kirin, it won't be of much use. After all, they won't be afraid of the revenge of the non-existent clan behind you. They will be worried that after you grow, you will take away their resources. It's not impossible for them to kill you directly. Bai Lu's voice was very calm, but every word slapped heavily on Lin Yuan's heart. Chapter 245. The Monster King court isn't as complicated as the various factions in the human world, but it definitely can't be ignored. First of all, you have to know that the ruler of the Hengduan mountain range, Ink Abyss, is also known as Beast Lord Kirin. He's at the peak of the desolate monster realm, infinitely close to the Monster King realm. It has been more than 300 years since he ruled the Hengduan mountain range. Although the monster tribes under him are also divided into factions, they never dare to say no to Beast Lord Kirin's orders. In addition to the Beast Lord, the Qilin, it has three other strong competitors. They are also recognized as the three great beast kings in the Hengduan mountains. They are different from us beast kings who are in charge of a region. Existences like us are at most a small commander in the eyes of the other party. Any one of the three great beast kings is in charge of a boundless land. For existences like us who have become the beast kings of a small region, even if we don't know the three great beast kings, we will still be listed as the subordinates of the three great beast kings according to our respective regions. Sacred Heart Ape Lord Sabar, Honed Ice Wolf Lord Raymond, and Colorful Snake Queen Keiho. These three are the strongest existences in the Hengduan mountain range apart from the Beast Lord. According to the division of regions, we are the monster beasts under Sabar. It's said that the original ruler of the Stoneclaw Forest, the mountain-shaking ape clan, is one of Sabaru's bloodline branches. It's just that this lord is used to being carefree and rarely cares about us monster beasts. Looking at the entire Hengduan mountain range, our region is the most chaotic. The change of Beast Lord, the rise and fall of a clan, these are all things that happen every day. I belong to the Nine-Colored Deer clan, the Stepping Mist clan, which is one of the strongest clans in this region. Only the Mountain-Shaking Ape clan can be compared to our Nine-Colored Deer clan. This is also because the Mountain-Shaking Ape clan is related to Sabar. Black Snake, your advantage is very obvious. You've gained the recognition of the Stony clan. Therefore, the clans under the command of the Mountain-Shaking Apes won't make any hostile moves against you. If you can also gain the recognition of the Misty clan, even if you use force to unify our region, no demon beast will dare to point fingers at you. At that time, if the other demon beast clans want to make a move against you, they'll have to consider whether it's worth it to offend the mountain-shaking apes and the nine-colored deer for that little benefit. As one of the veteran beast kings, Bai Lu knew the situation of the Hengduan mountain range like the back of his hand. Although it wasn't detailed, it had already listed all the things that Lin Yuan needed to pay attention to so that Lin Yuan wouldn't inexplicably offend other monster beasts. After a long speech, Bai Lu stared at Lin Yuan with a burning gaze and said in a deep voice, "Therefore, the division of power of the demonic beasts does not completely depend on the race of origin. Some demonic beasts of different races have become blood brothers because of their congenial temperaments. In Lin Yuan's previous life, the Blood Oath Brotherhood was the so-called Blood Oath. Demonic beasts with similar temperaments would drink each other's blood and sign an alliance contract. Even if the demonic beasts who signed this kind of contract were not of the same race, the relationship between them would not be any weaker than that between close relatives. For example, if Bai Lu signed a blood alliance with Lin Yuan, then no matter who Lin Yuan's enemy was, whether Bai Lu knew about it or not, it would be included in Lin Yuan's camp. At the same time, the other party would attack it. You mean, you want to establish a blood alliance with me? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and stared blankly at Bai Lu. He had quite a number of enemies in the Hengduan Mountains. In the past, there was a master suppressing them, so they did not dare to be presumptuous in front of Lin Yuan. But now that the master was silent, these monster beasts would naturally not let go of this opportunity to get rid of him. Just based on his current strength on the surface, compared to the enemies he had offended, he could be said to be as weak as a piece of sand that would turn into powder with a light pinch. Bai Lu wanted to sign a blood alliance with him at this time, which meant that Bai Lu was willing to face so many enemies, just for the reputation of helping him kill the Fire Kirin. Although Lin Yuan did not know what Bai Lu was thinking, from his point of view, Bai Lu's actions could be said to be completely crazy. Moreover, it was a madness that did not care about the cost and consequences. Bai Lu scratched the ground and said in a calm voice, "Black Snake, you might have misunderstood. Killing the Fire Kirin does not attract me that much. After all, it is not the enemy of my Nine-Colored Deer clan. The only reason I want to form a blood alliance with you is because I think you have a bright future ahead of you. If you are willing, my territory can be under your rule at any time. I am willing to be your right-hand man, just like Mengdu." Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a sharp light. His thoughts were completely empty. In the world of monster beasts, there was not a single monster beast that would reject the goodwill of the Nine-Colored Deer or its branch clan. Although the fighting strength of this clan was not strong, their relationship with humans and monster beasts was extremely good. Even existences that did not interact with the Nine-Colored Deer would not choose to offend them. However, in the face of Bai Lu's straightforward goodwill, Lin Yuan still maintained 120% of his vigilance. He knew that the potential he had displayed was extraordinary. In the eyes of most monster beasts, as long as he did not fall halfway, he could also become an existence on the same level as the three monster kings. Therefore, the cruel side of the law of the jungle appeared bloody in Lin Yuan's current situation. Not a single monster beast liked the feeling of being under someone. Knowing that Lin Yuan had great potential, they chose to suppress Lin Yuan and do their best to kill Lin Yuan. They would rather be trapped in their own territory than to see another monster king appear in the Hengduan mountain range. After so many years of captivity, these monster beasts had already gotten used to the days in the Hengduan mountain range. In their eyes, the monster beast clan that ruled the Tianwu continent had already become an unreachable legend. Perhaps only the young monster king Kirin had the ambition to conquer the Hengduan mountain range. Until now, the ambitious and ruthless monster king of the past was still living in seclusion in the Hengduan mountain range, becoming the monster king of the monster beasts. However, to Lin Yuan, although the resources in the Hengduan mountain range were very tempting, it was not enough for him to be promoted to the top of this world. Lin Yuan, who had the soul of another world, firmly believed that there were many main worlds like this. Moreover, there were interconnected passages between main worlds. And that silver coin proved this point. The existence at the top of this world did indeed have the means to go to other main worlds. Forming a blood alliance? But my journey is not just limited to the Hengduan mountain range. Lin Yuan's eyes slightly narrowed, but there was a smile in his eyes. This is the monthly subscription of 300 chapters. Chapter 246. Hearing this, Bai Lu was slightly startled. But soon Bai Lu felt relieved. The Black Snake's vision was not limited to the Hengduan mountain range. Just like the Beast Lord Kirin in the past, it had been cleansing the Hengduan mountain range of strange sounds while contacting some humans. It was constantly coveting the fertile land that provided for countless humans. The black snake today was simply a replica of the beast Lord Kirin in the past. No, the black snake might be more outstanding because the beast Lord Kirin and the humans were more like allies. However, the black snake seemed to be in charge of an army of humans. As a demonic beast, it could make humans submit to it. What kind of terrifying ruling power was this? Bai Lu lowered his body slightly and gave a simple salute to Lin Yuan. He smiled and said, "Then, please advise me in the future. As for the signing of the blood oath ceremony, I can hold it at any time. At that time, all the demonic beast kings near the Stoneclaw Forest will come to witness the ceremony. Just in case, I will also invite some experts from the clan to oversee the ceremony." "Alright, let's settle the matter at hand first. Tell me what happened in the Hengduan mountain range. Why is there such a large-scale demonic beast tide that is directed at the Shenwu dynasty? Also, the land and sea demonic beasts are joining forces to attack the Shenwu dynasty. Why are the other 6 empires not helping the Shenwu dynasty? Why are there 2 other empires that joined the crusade against the Shenwu dynasty?" Lin Yuan took a deep breath and stared at Bai Lu with burning eyes. "I'm not too sure about the higher-ups. If you ask this, I can only say that this is an order from the demonic beast palace. Demonic beasts like us don't have the guts to refuse. However, I heard that the Shenwu dynasty seems to have offended some powerful existence. The other party probably just wants to give them a warning and not use this opportunity to destroy the Shenwu dynasty." Bai Lu was deep in thought. He lowered his voice and said, "I heard that the existence that the Shenwu dynasty offended sent an expert to order Beast Lord Kirin to attack the Shenwu dynasty. There was no room for negotiation. Had the Shenwu dynasty fallen to such a state just because they had offended someone or some force?" Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly. He felt that the other party wanted to get something from the Shenwu dynasty, but the Shenwu dynasty refused to give up so easily. That was why they were surrounded by the 4 major forces. If the Emperor God refused to give in, perhaps the Shenwu dynasty would really be destroyed after this war? "By the way, Black Snake, I just remembered something." Bai Lu's eyes flashed as he interrupted Lin Yuan's train of thought. He said excitedly, "Do you know that the humans have an organization called the Demon Emperor Association? Previously, a member of the association called Li Hao contacted us. He said that as long as we attack Shunning City, they will immediately take down the city wall and let our demonic beasts in." When Bai Lu's voice fell, the expression on Lin Yuan's face suddenly became strange. Demon Emperor Association, Li Hao? He had the name list of all the members of the association, but there was no one called Li Hao. In addition, when he entered the tavern to contact Sherdong didn't mention this to him at all. Was someone secretly using the name of the Demon Emperor Association to do things? Or was this Li Hao a newly recruited member? If it was the latter, it would be fine. After all, the Demon Emperor Association had always been free. If they didn't accept the mission, the members of the association could act as they wished. If they wanted to take down the city wall and let the demonic beasts in, they didn't have to report to the other members of the association. But if it was the former, it would be a big problem. What's more, the other party's plan was flawless. The members of the Association of the Demon Emperor might not be friendly to the demonic beasts, but there was a demonic beast behind the Association of the Demon Emperor that called itself the Demon Emperor. If a group of humans really helped the demonic beasts to take down Shunning City, then the Association of the Demon Emperor would be the scapegoat. Although the Association of the Demon Emperor was active in the Shenwu dynasty, they had never fully expressed their stance on the side of the demonic beasts. If the Association of the Demon Emperor really took down the city wall and let the demonic beasts in, then from then on, any human forces would be forbidden to the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. "Interesting," Lin Yuan murmured. "Huh." Bai Lu was slightly stunned. The Demon Emperor Association said that they would help the demonic beasts to take down the city wall and let them in. Wasn't this a good thing? If the humans lost the defensive formation and the heavy weapons on the city wall, the demonic beasts would be able to defeat the humans in terms of individual combat ability. Even if the forces of the 7 border cities gathered together, There were only a few Heaven Dipper realm experts who could fight against the demonic beasts. For example, the mountain-blocking city didn't even have a Heaven Dipper realm expert. The strongest existence was Huazhu Dao, who died in the hands of Lin Yuan. But after hearing this news, why didn't Black Snake look happy at all? Even his expression was a bit solemn. Could it be that the rumors were true? That Demon Emperor Association was really formed by Black Snake? Then let's give it a try. Lin Yuan sneered and said coldly, "Anyway, we won't lose anything. We'll push the formation to the vicinity of Shunning City and observe the situation. If the humans really fight on the city wall, we'll attack the city directly. If they don't, we'll retreat and they won't dare to pursue us." But Bai Lu took a deep breath and said slowly, "I've discussed with King Kong and the others. There are still 6 allied human forces in the camp. If we attack Shunning City rashly, we'll be easily caught in a situation where we'll be attacked from both the front and the back. At that time, we'll have to pay a great price to escape. If we attack Shunning City, even if the allied forces of the 6 cities are not nearby, they'll definitely come out to support us. Shunning City is the only communication channel between them and the Shenwu dynasty. All the supplies have to go through Shunning City. If we take Shunning City, even if their defense is impregnable, they'll be trapped here alive by us. However, let's think about it in reverse. When the humans' lives are not threatened, they won't take the initiative to leave their safe positions to fight with us in the wild. So it's really easy to get rid of the allied forces of the 6 cities. If I'm the commander, I can force the allied forces of the 6 cities to give up their advantages and fight with us in 7 days at most." Lin Yuan thought for a moment, and a touch of embarrassment appeared on his face. He said in a low voice, "But you know, those beast kings and I are more or less at odds. Even if I have a good strategy, they won't necessarily listen to me. Even if they don't jump out to oppose me, I'll be grateful." Chapter 247. Bai Lu's face also showed a troubled expression. The Black Snake's reputation in the Demon Beast Circle was indeed bad, especially after Curly Moon's actions. The nearby Beast Kings had more or less been offended by the Black Snake. Wanting them to listen to the Black Snake's words was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Well, forget it. Anyway, I'll be staying in Shunning City during this period of time, so it's not my turn to command. Go back and make some arrangements. Organize a few groups of monsters that are more mobile and keep an eye on Shunning City and the human camp. Once there are supplies, launch an attack immediately. No matter what the casualties are, make sure that the human army in the camp can't get any supplies. I've heard that the human camp only has enough food for 3 days at most. Every 3 days, Shunning City will send a batch of supplies to the human camp. If everything goes well in the first few days, the humans will still hide. After all, they still have warhorses and pet beasts to eat. But after 7 days, the human camp will run out of supplies. If they don't want to starve to death, they have to take the risk and break out of the encirclement towards Shunning City. Remember, if the humans break out of the encirclement at this time, don't kill them. Just follow them from afar. Once Shunning City opens the gate to accept them, launch an attack immediately. I'll find a way to coordinate with your attack. If Shunning City doesn't accept them, don't attack. Once the 6 armies have completely lost their fighting power, Shunning City will still be ours. Lin Yuan spoke very slowly, making sure that Bai Lu could hear every word clearly and understand what he meant. Bai Lu carefully thought about the Black Snake's idea for a moment. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he almost couldn't help but say to the Black Snake, "You're really something." The Black Snake was known as the most treacherous existence in the Hengduan Mountains in recent years. No matter how big the difference in strength was between the 2 sides, no matter how many times the humans launched a crusade, the Black Snake could always escape unscathed and even make the humans suffer a few losses. This vicious plan was really too vicious. The allied forces of the 6 cities were blocked outside Shunning City. If they couldn't get any more supplies, or if Shunning City was unwilling to open the city gate to accept them, the resentment of the 6 cities would definitely reach the peak. Even the demon beasts wouldn't need to do anything, as these human beings would immediately pick up their weapons and attack Shunning City. Well, it's almost dawn. I have to return to Shunning City as soon as possible. You guys carry out this plan. At least we can take down the humans in the camp. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and walked towards a human that appeared from the shadows. Lord Black Snake. Shi Dong walked out of the darkness and took out a bamboo basket from his back. He smiled bitterly and said, "Just make do with this." As a well-known businessman in Shunning City, Shi Dong had certain privileges when entering and leaving the city. Unless it was a battle, Shi Dong's belongings would not be checked. If he was an ordinary person, he would even have to take off his clothes for a full body check before entering and leaving Shunning City. Lin Yuan got into the bamboo basket and waited for Bai Lu to go far before asking, "I heard that some members of the Association of the Demon Emperor plan to help the demonic beasts take down the city walls of Shunning City and then open the city gates to let the demonic beasts in. Do you know about this?" Shi Dong was slightly shocked and said with a face full of horror, "Which bastard wants to do this?" The Association of the Demon Emperor seemed to be secretive, but compared to the dynasties and sects that had been passed down for thousands of years, it was still lacking. If a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor was captured, the other party could use this member to capture other members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Therefore, in the eyes of the truly powerful forces, the list of members of the Association of the Demon Emperor was something that could be easily obtained. If someone in the Association of the Demon Emperor really did this, the entire list of members of the Association of the Demon Emperor would be made public. After that, in the human territory, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor would either be killed or expelled. There would be no place for them to live. After all, no one would want a group of people that could betray them to live under their nose every day. "I'm not sure." The other party called himself Li Hao and said that he was a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor. His meaning is clear. This is the Association of the Demon Emperor's decision, not his own. It's hard to say if it's an external force pretending to be a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, or if it's an individual radical member of our organization. Lin Yuan shook his head and slumped in the bamboo basket. He said in a deep voice, "Since you're not sure who did this, you should go and investigate. Ask those members of the Association of the Demon Emperor who are close to you if they know." "What if it's one of us?" Shi Dong asked with a trembling voice. Although he couldn't wait for the Shenwu dynasty to be destroyed as soon as possible, that was under the condition that it didn't affect his living space. If the price of destroying the Shenwu dynasty was that he had to leave the human territory, then Shi Dong would rather leave the Association of the Demon Emperor. He was now worried that the Black Snake would really take this matter to heart and let the Association of the Demon Emperor take down the city wall and let the demonic beasts enter Shunning City. After all, the Black Snake was a demonic beast and not a human. Perhaps it only cared about whether the demonic beasts could win the battle and not the life and death of the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Clean it up from the inside. Remember to keep it quiet and don't let too many people know. If it's not one of us who did this, you can arrange a group of people to hide around the city wall. Those guys might be able to catch the defenders off guard, then you can catch them off guard. In short, even if all of you die in battle, you have to protect the reputation of the Association of the Demon Emperor. This is not only for me, but also for yourselves. Lin Yuan didn't hesitate at all and directly gave out the way to deal with it. Phew, okay, I understand. Shi Dong exhaled a long breath of turbid air, then nodded heavily. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes in the bamboo basket and began to think silently. If it really wasn't the decision of the radical members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, then who would do such a thing? It wasn't easy to disguise as a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor. For example, if they wanted to take down the city wall of Shunning City, they would need a group of experts to open the city gate before the defenders of Shunning City could react. At that time, the demonic beasts wouldn't pay attention to them. Otherwise, this operation was destined to be a joke. To be able to mobilize a group of experts in such a short time, the organization behind the other party must be very powerful. However, the masks and uniforms of the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor were all custom-made by the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. The other party must be able to get the exact same ones. Otherwise, the slightest flaw could be used as evidence of the Association of the Demon Emperor's comeback. Therefore, if this person wanted to accomplish this, he or she must get the uniforms of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Chapter 248. Perhaps there's a traitor among us. After passing through the sentry post at the city gate, Lin Yuan's voice rang out from the bamboo basket again. Shi Dong's brows were tightly knitted together as he asked doubtfully, "Why do you say so? If the other party is a member of the Demon Emperor Association, they will be implicated by this matter. I don't think anyone would be so foolish as to do such a thing that harms others without benefiting themselves. What if the other party is the remnants of the Jiao clan?" Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed as he slowly uttered the name of a force. Now that the Shenwu dynasty was in a precarious situation, it was impossible for the remnants of the Jiao clan to not be tempted. It was completely reasonable for them to take action at this time. In addition, with the Demon Emperor Association as a shield, they could do whatever they wanted without any scruples. If this matter really succeeded, the demonic beasts would definitely give the Shenwu dynasty another heavy blow after entering the pass. By then, the hidden force, the Demon Emperor Association, which had the greatest chance to compete with them, would also be kicked out because of this matter. It could be said to be the best of both worlds. "You mean, Senior Jiao?" Shi Dong swallowed a mouthful of saliva as his legs trembled a little. That person was the representative of the Demon Emperor Association's martial strength, a true Heaven Dipper realm expert. If he insisted on standing up for the Jiao clan's surviving members, then the Demon Emperor Association might really be doomed. Not necessarily. Although I haven't seen the Wine Sword Immortal for a while, I have a good eye for people. Although this guy still hates the Shenwu dynasty, he has no sense of belonging to the remnants of the Jiao clan. Since he is working for the Demon Emperor Association, he definitely won't stab me in the back. There might be other remnants of the Jiao clan within the Demon Emperor Association, or they might have been bribed by the remnants of the Jiao clan. So when you inquire about this matter, remember to beat around the bush and don't ask directly. That will make the traitor in our group more vigilant. Lin Yuan added another sentence. "I understand." Shi Dong nodded heavily as he carried the bamboo basket and walked towards the tavern. 20 minutes later, Lin Yuan returned to the remote courtyard. At this moment, the sky was already turning white, and the sun was about to rise. Hua Qiren stepped into the courtyard, glanced sideways at Lin Yuan, and said indifferently, "I heard that the human with the surname Mi has fallen into the hands of the human army because of your decision. Aren't you going to give me an explanation for this?" "What's there to befriend?" Lin Yuan subconsciously replied, but his voice stopped abruptly. Because in his perception, the connection between him and the curse mark poison had been abnormally severed. The curse seal poison could be forced out through blood exchange, but that method was very slow. Once he sensed the curse seal poison leaving the host's body, he could activate the curse seal poison at any time to kill the target. This kind of disconnect could only mean one thing. Brother Mi is dead. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with surprise. There was no problem with his cooperation with Lei Fan. If there was a problem with Lei Fan, when they were outside the city, he could have called for Shunning City's army to kill him. Even if Lei Fan wanted to use a long line to catch a big fish, he would have thought of a way to release Brother Mi first to gain his trust. Now that Brother Mi was dead, Lin Yuan immediately suspected that there was a problem with Lei Fan, which would not benefit their cooperation at all. At the same time, in the camp of Mountain Rampart City, Lei Fan looked at Brother Mi, who was slumped on the chair, and there was not a single piece of unharmed flesh on his body. He was so angry that he was trembling uncontrollably. He had told Black Snake that he would think of a way to release Brother Mi when he returned. In the end, he had just returned and Brother Mi was already dead. He really didn't know how to explain this matter to Black Snake. Even if he told the truth now, Black Snake probably wouldn't believe him. Moreover, if he said that people died as soon as he came back, Black Snake would deliberately think that he was insulting Black Snake's intelligence. What the hell are you trying to do? Lei Fan looked at Luo Su, his chest heaving up and down violently, and said coldly, "Do you know how important this person is? If I don't release him and something happens to Black Snake, you, me, and the entire mountain rampart city, we can all forget about having a good life in the future." Luo Su shrugged his shoulders indifferently and said, "I don't even know who he is. Besides, this guy has been trying to get information about you. You should know that your identity is a little more sensitive. Now, I don't know how many pairs of eyes are watching the movements of the 7 border cities, especially the remnants of the Jiao clan. Once they know that you are a descendant of the Lei family, they will definitely send out a large number of assassins to kill you. I was only concerned about your safety, so I had no choice but to interrogate this guy severely. Who knew that he would be so weak?" As he spoke, Luo Su's eyes were still flashing with a ruthless chill. He had a secret that he had not told anyone. In fact, when the demonized Fong Tian had injured him, the flames of purgatory had been burning on his body. Even when he was rescued, the flames of purgatory had not been extinguished, but had merged into his body and continued to burn. Now, every day, he was enduring the endless burning of the flames, and the ruthlessness in his heart was getting stronger and stronger. Under such extreme pain, he wished that he could tear apart everything that he saw. Even if the person standing in front of him was Lei Fan, he almost could not suppress the murderous intent in his heart. "So, when I shouted for you to stop, did you not hear it, or did you pretend not to hear it?" Lei Fan threw out another question. Even from 400 to 500 meters away, he could hear Brother Mi's screams. He shouted for him to stop as he rushed over. But when he reached the interrogation room, Brother Mi had already stopped breathing. This was the reason why he was so angry, because he realized that Luo Su seemed to have started to break out of his control. Luo Su was indeed a rare talent. He had no identity, no past, and only under his command could he avoid the Shenwu dynasty's massacre of the survivors of Zhanshan City. Moreover, Luo Su had been in command of the Zhanshan City's garrison troops for many years, and his personal strength and command were quite good. Before Li Zhongxing had grown up, Luo Su was his most capable assistant, and at the same time, his most outstanding teacher. With regards to Luo Su, Lei Fan was at ease. But now that Luo Su had broken out of his control, Lei Fan started to hesitate. Because if he wanted to solve this matter, he had to give up on Luo Su. In this way, he might be back to square one in Zhanshan City, leading a Li Zhongxing who had not yet grown up to fight a battle of wits and courage with the Hengduan Mountains. How would he have the time to manage Zhanshan City? Chapter 249. At most, you can just hand me over. As if he had seen through Lei Fan's heart, Luo Su suddenly sneered and muttered indifferently. Seeing Luo Su's attitude, the hesitation in Lei Fan's heart disappeared and he was so angry that he was trembling. The anger in his purple eyes was not inferior to the anger in Luo Su's eyes. In fact, both of them knew that Brother Mi to Black Snake was just a pawn that could be discarded at any time. However, it was a fact that Brother Mi had died in their hands. No matter what, Lei Fan had to give Black Snake an explanation. This was a matter of attitude. Otherwise, if Brother Mi died in Lei Fan's hands today, who knows which of Lei Fan's subordinates would be killed by demonic beasts the next time. This kind of gap was fatal to both partners. Lei Fan let out a long breath and retracted the anger on his face. He said in a low voice, "Get ready. Come with me to Shunning City tomorrow. I have to explain this matter to Black Snake face to face. As for how to deal with you, that will depend on what Black Snake thinks." The partnership between Lei Fan and Black Snake was not solid. After all, strictly speaking, the new location of Mountain Blocking City was not within Black Snake's attack range. If he continued to work with Black Snake, at most, when demonic beasts attacked Mountain Blocking City in the future, the demonic beasts under Black Snake would come and report. Regarding Brother Mi, Lei Fan did not do a good job. While he was angry, he also wanted to see what kind of position this partner of his held in Black Snake's heart. Everyone knew that Luo Su was loyal to Lei Fan, and at this stage, there was almost no one around Lei Fan who could replace Luo Su's position. Without Luo Su's help, Lei Fan's following work would have to start from scratch, and he might not even be able to maintain his current progress. If Black Snake insisted on dealing with Luo Su for a pawn, although Lei Fan would not fall out with Black Snake on the spot, but the partnership between the two would come to an end. Sure. Luo Su's mouth curled up slightly and the arc that was outlined was inexplicably evil. On the other side, in a remote courtyard, Fire Kirin's eyes narrowed and said coldly, "This is really interesting, Black Snake. When I said that humans can't be trusted, you were the one who stopped me from killing that guy. In the end, it was you who personally pushed him into the abyss of death. Don't you think it's funny?" Lin Yuan's eyes flashed with uncertainty. He didn't continue the conversation and instead asked, "What do you mean?" Brother Mi's death was indeed related to him. If not for Fire Kirin's plan to escape, he would not have forced Brother Mi to enter the garrison of Mountain Blocking City to gather information. Naturally, Brother Mi would not have died. Although Lin Yuan was not affected by the death of such a chess piece, he could not help but have a headache. After all, Brother Mi was a well-known hooligan on the streets of Shunning City. He had bullied men, seized women, and committed crimes. There were no bad things that Brother Mi had not done. The death of such a person would only make people clap their hands and cheer. Even Lin Yuan and Fire Qilin would not have any pessimism or sympathy for Brother Mi's death. The most troublesome thing now was how to deal with Lei Fan. Lin Yuan's strategic vision had always been at the top of the world. A mere Hengduan mountain range was not enough to satisfy Lin Yuan. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before he took control of the human territory. If the Shenwu dynasty could survive this storm, Lin Yuan could use Lei Fan, a member of the royal family, to support the Demon Emperor Association's power until he achieved his goal of taking over the territory of the Shenwu dynasty. If the Shenwu dynasty could not survive, then there would be another era of independence on this land. After all, the land and sea monsters were not allowed to occupy the human territory. This was not allowed by any human. It would be a good thing if their living space was not further deprived. As for the Qingjiang and Shuangjin empires, they could only contribute to the war against the Shenwu dynasty. Once it was over, the upper echelons would naturally give them some compensation and rewards. However, the territory of the Shenwu dynasty would be taken down in the end, and the other 6 dynasties wouldn't be able to touch it. Although the 7 empires had rankings among themselves, the difference in national strength was not that big. The rankings were constantly changing every year. Therefore, everyone maintained a corresponding restraint. If the territory of the Shenwu dynasty was divided equally between the Qingjiang and Shuangjin empires, then after 10 years, the Qingjiang and Shuangjin empires would be able to crush any of the other 4 empires in terms of national strength. Therefore, once this land entered a chaotic era of independence, there would only be a new empire to replace the Shenwu dynasty. Just like when Lei Qiusheng rebelled and usurped the throne, the other 6 empires did not dare to help, nor did they dare to take the opportunity to annex the territory of the Wanjian Empire. From Lin Yuan's point of view, the power structure of the Tianwu continent was extremely abnormal. The 2 great monster clans, the 7 empires, and various sects, gangs, and other powers. Not to mention this continent, even in a small county, there would be several different voices. The opinions and thoughts of these people could not be unified. Even if there were outstanding reforms, they would not be able to execute them. If this continued, even after millions of years, there would not be the slightest change in this world. I just want to know one thing. Did that human reveal any information about us? The Fire Kirin cleared its throat, the expression on its face slightly twisted. Now that its strength had not recovered to its peak, both demonic beasts and humans wanted to kill it as soon as possible. Once its whereabouts were leaked out, it would be followed by endless pursuit. Although there was no deep hatred between the humans and it as an ancient remnant species, whether it was its strength or the energy contained in its flesh, it was an unforgivable crime in the eyes of the humans. Therefore, the humans would be even crazier in their pursuit of it than the demonic beasts. Who knows? Lin Yuan smiled slightly, a mocking expression on his face. Although he was a must-kill target in the eyes of many monster clans, Behind him stood the mountain-shaking ape and the nine-colored deer. Moreover, he had not committed any crimes on the surface. Even if his whereabouts were exposed, he could just hide among the monster clans. No one would be bold enough to attack him in broad daylight in front of so many people. The fire Kirin looked deeply at Lin Yuan, its eyes flashing with regret more than once. It began to regret bringing Lin Yuan out of the Sumeru world. Chapter 250. I'm serious. I really don't know if he will reveal our whereabouts. Seeing that Fire Kirin didn't want to talk to it anymore, Lin Yuan added with a serious face. Now that the 7 border cities had been isolated by the Shenwu dynasty, Shunning City was the last line of defense. Even if Fire Kirin had a way to leave Shunning City and head to the hinterland of the Shenwu dynasty, so what? If it could leave now, Fire Kirin would have sneaked away a long time ago. It would be impossible for it to return here. Now in Shunning City, countless pairs of eyes were watching Fire Kirin. Although they didn't know what Fire Kirin was doing outside, the places where Fire Kirin went every day and who it came into contact with were all reported to Sherdong by the members of the Demon Emperor Association. Then, Sherdong would write a written document and send it to the agreed place with Lin Yuan. In addition, Lei Fan had agreed to help him, so Lin Yuan wasn't worried that Fire Kirin would slip away under his nose. However, this was Shunning City after all. Even if they were to deal with Fire Kirin, it would be the humans who would make the first move. At that time, Fire Kirin would inevitably suspect that Lin Yuan had betrayed it. After all, it had heard that Lin Yuan was investigating the purple-eyed youth in Zhanshan City. When the humans made the first move, Fire Kirin would easily link it to Lin Yuan. Now that Brother Mi was dead, Lin Yuan could put the blame on Brother Mi. It wasn't that he was deliberately scheming. It was just that at this point he was making use of trash. What do you mean? Fire Kirin was startled and its eyes turned serious. Lin Yuan shook his head with a bitter smile and said, I said that I could guarantee Brother Mi's loyalty because I planted a blood poison in his body. Once he makes any strange movements, I can take his life at any time. However, since he's going to die either way, it's hard to say if Brother Mi will say anything under the other party's torture. Although I gave him a cardiac stimulant before, this kind of hoodlum in the underworld would never trust anyone, let alone demon beasts like you and me. If he could survive by betraying us, he wouldn't hesitate at all. Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Fire Kirin's face contorted. He said coldly, and this is the trouble you caused. You have to give me an explanation for this. In 3 days at the latest, I want to know if the humans already know of our existence. Otherwise, you don't want to know the consequences. The pitch of the Fire Kirin gradually increased. It had already died once, so it knew better than any other living being how precious life was. Therefore, at this juncture, Fire Kirin didn't even dare to look directly at the fear in its heart. I'll look into it, but I'm only responsible for my own safety. Watch your words. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a cold glint. He said sternly, you and I are not superior and subordinate. You have no right to order me to do anything. You can try again next time. The worst that can happen is that we'll both die together. After being choked by Lin Yuan, Fire Kirin walked back to its room with a resentful look on its face. It couldn't be bothered to argue with the black snake anymore. However, it was once again thinking about how to get out of this damned place. 2 days later, late at night, Lin Yuan once again left the secluded courtyard and came to Sherdong's tavern. This time, Sherdong was not the only one who stayed in the tavern. With just a cursory glance, there were at least 50 to 60 airborne realm cultivators gathered there. After Lin Yuan entered the tavern, these people respectfully bowed to Lin Yuan and said in a fanatical voice, Greetings, Lord Demon Emperor. These were all fanatics of the Demon Emperor Association. They were even more convinced of the existence of the ancient demon court than Lin Yuan. They also believed that Lin Yuan was the reincarnation of the ancient demon emperor. After all, anyone who knew a little about Lin Yuan knew that the black snake, who was born less than a year ago, went from an ordinary beast to a level 10 wisdom realm monster. Such speed of cultivation almost subverted their definition of the word cultivation. They even felt that their cultivation was nothing more than a waste of time. Logically speaking, when surrounded by 50 to 60 airborne realm humans, even a level 10 wisdom realm monster would not dare to say that it had a 100% chance of winning. However, they could not find the slightest trace of fear on Lin Yuan's face. That calm demeanor was not something that just anyone could fake. Did Sherdong tell you about the mission? Lin Yuan looked around and saw pairs of fanatical eyes, but his heart did not waver in the slightest. The strongest among humans seemed to be at the peak of the Kongming realm. The strongest among monsters was Kirin, the Beast Lord, who was at the peak of the desolate demon realm, infinitely close to the Demon King realm. Although there were higher realms, the path of cultivation was cut off for some reason. Even Kirin, the Beast Lord, was still exploring. Otherwise, with its aptitude, how could it have been stuck at the desolate demon realm for so many years? Many people speculated that the cultivation methods of higher realms were recorded in the ancient cultivation methods. Lin Yuan, who was suspected to be the reincarnation of the ancient demon emperor, became the hope of many people. In particular, Lin Yuan took out a high-grade earth-level cultivation method to kill the fire Kirin, which made many people more convinced of this point. Thwart training techniques were rare, and an upper earth-level thwart training technique was even rarer. If it was not an ancient artifact, how could the Black Serpent take it out so casually? It could not have made it up on the spot, right? We know what to do. Sir Shifter Emperor's painstaking efforts cannot be wasted like this. These people want to force us into a dead end, so we have no choice but to let them die. The members of the Association of the Demon Emperor expressed their opinions one by one. In an instant, the whole tavern was filled with fighting spirit. Very well, let's go. Today, the Beast Tide will be near Shunning City. Those bastards hiding in the dark will definitely take the opportunity to take action. In order to defend the Association of the Demon Emperor, and for your own interests, let's send these scum to hell. Teach these scum who tried to impersonate us how the Association of the Demon Emperor does things. Lin Yuan coiled up his snake body, and his heterochromatic eyes flashed with a cold light. The members of the Association of the Demon Emperor filed out, and their auras instantly merged into one. At a glance, it gave people a sense of oppression, as if a storm was coming. When all the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor disappeared from sight, Sherdong stepped to Lin Yuan's side. He lowered his head slightly, and there was a faint sense of uneasiness in his eyes. Have you found out who the traitor is? Lin Yuan withdrew the cold light in his eyes, lowered his eyelids, and asked in a casual tone. The other party was about to take action. If they still did not know who was the culprit, then similar situations would still happen even if they foiled the other party's conspiracy this time. Chapter 251. Yes, but I don't think it's possible. Sherdong knelt on one knee, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, although the evidence is clear this time, I personally don't think Vice President Ding Zai would do such a thing. With his position in the Council of the Demon Emperor, it's impossible for him to be bribed so easily. Moreover, I have investigated him in private. Vice President Ding Zai's background is clean, and he's not one of the remnants of the Jiao clan. The name Ding Zai was not unfamiliar to Lin Yuan. When Su Nan established the Council of the Demon Emperor, Ding Zai was the biggest stumbling block, and even caused the Council of the Demon Emperor to suffer. In the end, it was Lin Yuan who pulled Ding Zai and his followers into the ranks of the Council of the Demon Emperor. Until now, Ding Zai had naturally become an important figure in the Council of the Demon Emperor, and his position was not much lower than Su Nan's. Ding Zai had no interest in power, fame, glory, and wealth. This guy was a cultivator with great perseverance. Although his talent was extremely poor, he still persisted in his cultivation. Moreover, he was determined to walk to the end of the cultivation path. He believed that Lin Yuan, the ancient demon emperor, had a way to change his aptitude. Therefore, he chose to serve under Lin Yuan. Any task that was handed over to Ding Zai would be executed perfectly. Not to mention Sherdong, even Lin Yuan himself did not believe that Ding Zai would be a traitor of the Council of the Demon Emperor. This matter involves a lot of people. Don't make it public for the time being. Deal with the matters at hand first. I will talk to Ding Zai myself later. You can dig around and see if there are any other suspicious points. Lin Yuan nodded at Sherdong and then stepped out. When the sky was just beginning to brighten, loud alarms woke up the people who were sleeping soundly in Shunning City. What's wrong? The army commander who walked up the city wall with his clothes on frowned slightly and asked the sentry who sounded the alarms. As the last line of defense against the demonic beasts, Shunning City was naturally not on the same level as the other 6 cities. Shunning City had a troop of rangers who were skilled in archery and horse riding. They were responsible for patrolling the area around Shunning City every day. Yesterday, the rangers had just reported that there were no demonic beasts within a radius of 50 miles. Only then did he feel relieved to rest. However, he didn't sleep for long before the alarm went off. The sentinel leaned against the alarm and said nothing. The Legion commander frowned slightly and subconsciously reached out to press on the saber at his waist. He carefully moved towards the sentinel. He reached out and touched the sentry's shoulder lightly. In the next moment, the sentry fell to the ground. At the same time, the sound of a bowstring snapping could be heard in the air. In the next moment, a sharp sound pierced through the air. A sharp crossbow arrow flew from behind the sentry and headed for the Legion commander's throat. The Legion commander's face darkened, and he waved the saber in his hand, directly cutting off the arrow that was shot at him. Put, put, put. A burst of crisp applause sounded. The Legion commander turned around and saw a troop of swordsmen in black capes and ghost masks walking out from the shadows of the area that he had just passed. Pairs of cold and indifferent eyes fell on the Legion commander. They were like a group of evil spirits that had crawled out from hell and were about to devour someone. Who are you? The Legion commander held the saber with both hands, and a tinge of fear appeared in his eyes. These people seemed to be well-trained killers. After killing the sentinel, they set up a trap and then sounded the alarm to lure the Legion commander over. After the trap failed to kill the Legion commander, these guys took the initiative to show up. Clearly, they had come prepared. The Legion commander, who had been on the battlefield for a long time, quickly realized that he was probably going to die today. The Demon Emperor Society is working. The leader of the masked men replied in a hoarse and low voice. Immediately, he waved the saber in his hand and said, "Kill!" As soon as he finished speaking, the masked men behind him stepped on the ground and rushed out. A large net formed by the sabers directly enveloped the Legion commander. The cold aura of death also filled the air. The Demon Emperor Society. Are you crazy? The Legion commander murmured this name softly. The next moment, horror appeared in his eyes. It was rumored that the Demon Emperor Society was supported by the demonic beasts. That was why they had been repeatedly besieged by the Shenwu dynasty. However, what the Demon Emperor Society had done before was still in the gray area and did not violate any taboos. But today, the Demon Emperor Society clearly intended to seize the city wall of Shunning City and kill him, the Legion commander. It was estimated that at this moment, the officers under his command had begun to be assassinated. Once the city gate was opened, they would lose the command system. When the demonic beasts entered the city, they would not be able to organize an effective resistance. It would not be an exaggeration to describe what would happen then as a tragedy. Bush, 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 bush. The masked men who had just rushed out flew back one by one, and their bodies were full of crossbow arrows. The leader of the masked men darkened his eyes and revealed a somewhat dignified look. He really did not expect that Shunning City had prepared emergency measures. But the arrow was on the bow. If he left now, his superiors would not let him go when he returned. Looking at the corpses on the ground, the Legion commander's face revealed a blank look. Although he had guessed the purpose of the masked men's visit, there was nothing he could do. He was not even sure if he could survive in the hands of these masked men before the other comrades who had heard the alarm arrived. But now, how did the situation change? Could it be that the other comrades had arrived so quickly? When the Legion commander turned his head, he just happened to see a black shadow that was dressed similarly to the masked men before. If it were not for the various crossbows in their hands, the Legion commander would have thought that the two groups were in the same group. But what was going on now? Could it be that the Demon Emperor Society had an internal strife? The second batch of devil-masked men dispersed to the left and right. A tall and slender figure walked out. He gently pressed the devil-masked mask on his face with his right hand and said coldly, "Hey, bastards who pretended to be us, our Demon Emperor is quite displeased with you. Tiske, have we been discovered?" The masked man whose men had all been killed took off the mask on his face. It was Li Hao who had notified the Beast Kings to attack the city. Li Hao didn't attempt to escape. Even if the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor didn't say anything, he knew that the Association of the Demon Emperor had set up an inescapable net. Even if he could escape from the hands of these people, he wouldn't be able to escape the gradually tightening net of the Association of the Demon Emperor. He might as well give up and suffer less. Chapter 252. You know your place, but we don't intend to let you live. The leading member of the Association of the Demon Emperor shrugged his shoulders and sneered. Today's grudge has been settled. We'll have plenty of chances in the future to play with. Finishing his words, he gently pressed his palm down. Swish, 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 swish. The crossbow bolts shot out again and instantly pierced through the defenseless Li Hao. Until Li Hao fell down, his eyes were still filled with unwillingness. Obviously, he did not expect that these members of the Association of the Demon Emperor would not even have the interest to interrogate him and directly kill him. The hunt is over. Let's go. It's time to get down to business. The leading devil-masked man waved his hand and led his men back into the darkness. The corps commander, who was almost killed for no reason and then rescued for no reason, was at a loss. He stared at Li Hao's body on the ground. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Bastard, don't let me find out which force you are from. I'll make you pay for what you did today." Some people would even gamble with human lives for a momentary victory or defeat. These dead devil-masked men pretended to be members of the Association of the Demon Emperor to help the demonic beasts attack the city. Their purpose was to drive the Association of the Demon Emperor out of the human territory. However, their actions were detected by the Association of the Demon Emperor. Therefore, during the operation today, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor suddenly came out and killed these people. The corps commander did not have much interest in the conflict between the two dark organizations. However, this matter involved the entire Shunning City. All the people in the city, including him, were abandoned. This crossed the bottom line that he had been holding in his heart. In other words, they had crossed the bottom line in the hearts of most humans. Rumble, rumble. A thunderous sound came. The corps commander looked over and saw demonic beasts approaching Shunning City. Glancing from the corner of his eyes, he saw soldiers covered in blood rushing up to the city wall again. The corps commander squinted his eyes and exuded a dangerous aura. He said coldly, "Brothers, control the city defense equipment to attack the beast tide. Before these beasts touch the city wall, we'll drive them back to the Hengduan Mountain." At the same time, outside a remote courtyard, Lin Yuan was lying on the trunk of a big tree. His heterochromatic eyes looked in the direction of the city wall. Various city defense equipment was ringing in his ears. Tonight was not going to be a peaceful night. Even if he was sleeping like a log after the alarm and the city defense equipment bombardment, he should be completely awake now. Two powerful auras directly locked onto this remote courtyard. Sensing the threat, the Fire Qilin lowered its body and slowly walked out of its room. "Fire Kirin, I've heard of your name." The first to speak was a middle-aged man wearing bright silver armor with a 3-meter-long halberd by his side. He had his hands behind his back. It was Yan Xingqi, the gatekeeper of Shunning City. It was said that he was a famous general of the Wanjian dynasty in his early years. He was almost as famous as Lei Qiusheng. After the fall of the Wanjian dynasty, Yan Xingqi's reputation was too great. Lei Qiusheng was afraid of him but also admired him. However, Yan Xingqi was not willing to submit to Lei Qiusheng. He took the initiative to transfer to Shunning City to defend against the demonic beasts from the Hengduan Mountain. "Fire Kirin, the last time we met, You seem to be much stronger than you are now. How come after so many years, not only did your cultivation not improve, it even started to regress? Master Qin of the Free House was wearing a white monk's robe. He did not have the compassion of a monk at all. His words were like a steel knife stabbing into Fire Qiren's heart. Yan Xingqi, Qin, you two bastards. When this king was at his peak, you two bastards didn't even have the courage to challenge this king. Fire Qiren snorted coldly. On the surface, it looked like it was not at a disadvantage at all. However, Lin Yuan, who had been with Fire Qiren for some time, saw a hint of panic in Fire Qiren's eyes. Obviously, this legendary existence had already thought of retreating. It started to look for a way out under the watchful eyes of the two Void Realm human powerhouses. With its current strength, it did not dare to say that it had a 50% chance of winning against one of them. Now that it had to fight against two of them, Fire Qiren would definitely not be able to win. However, the outcome of a battle did not determine life and death. Not everyone had to fight to the death. Most of the time, they would stop after a winner was determined. The two human powerhouses came together. Although Fire Qiren was not their match, if Fire Qiren wanted to leave, the two of them were not confident that they could make Fire Qiren stay. Fire Qiren, don't tell me you're thinking of leaving? Yan Xingqi reached out and grabbed the crescent halberd beside him. He sneered, ever since you entered Shunning City, we've been paying attention to you. We've been preparing for a few days before making our move. Do you really think you can escape? Although Master Qin did not speak, he had already released his aura. His battle intent was awe-inspiring. They were trying to trick Fire Qiren, hoping that Fire Qiren would give up on the idea of running away and fight them directly. Compared to demonic beasts, humans were undoubtedly more cunning existences. They were experts in using the power of words to disturb the originally calm state of mind of their opponents, especially in this kind of situation that brought about an enormous pressure. Once the Fire Qiren's heart was unable to withstand the pressure, these two would start with a killing move. Trying to trick me? If you want to make me stay, let's see if you have the ability. Show me what you're capable of. Fire Qiren naturally would not be disturbed by Yan Xingqi's words. As it spoke, it had already chosen a direction to escape and rushed out. Yan Xingqi roared. The crescent halberd in his hand had already been thrown out. With a whistling sound, it smashed towards Fire Qiren. The Fire Qiren's eyes narrowed, and it actually didn't dodge, allowing the crescent halberd to land on its body. It immediately opened its mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood, but the Fire Qiren still didn't have any thoughts of fighting back. Borrowing the impact of the crescent halberd, its fleeing speed increased again. Master Qin's white monk's robe fluttered even though there was no wind. Instantly, rays of golden light bloomed between heaven and earth, converging into a huge beam of light and smashing onto Fire Qiren's body. This time, Fire Qiren did not dare to take it head-on. It could only choose to stop and crash into a nearby building. Boom! A small building collapsed with a loud bang. The Fire Qiren barely dodged the collision of the golden light. The golden light that fell to the ground instantly smashed a huge pit nearly 100 meters deep in the ground. You two old things, I'll remember today's grudge. Looking at the huge pit that appeared beside it, Fire Qiren's face darkened. After saying those words, it dashed out again. Chapter 253. The Fire Qiren was focused on escaping and had no intention of fighting Master Qin and Yan Xingqi. Even the air was filled with a burning aura. As time passed, Qin and Yan Xingqi's attacks became faster and faster, and their strength became stronger and stronger. The existences of the Void Realm and the Desolate Demon Realm had their own battlefields. If the beast tide from outside the city entered the city, Qin and Yan Xingqi would have to retreat temporarily and not interfere in the battle in any way. Otherwise, they would be breaking the rules. The next time something like this happened, the Desolate Demon Realm existences would also be mobilized. When that time came, even if it was a small-scale battle, the casualties on both sides would be terrifying. So. Sharp sounds of air being pierced rang out. Pitch-black arrows burning with flames continuously fell on the ground in front of the fire Qilin with the momentum of a heavenly river. The rising flames almost ignited half of the street. TSK, don't you humans have brains? This is just an ordinary fire. Even an intelligence realm fire-type beast can't deal with it, and you want to use it against me? What a joke! Standing in front of the sea of flames, the fire Qilin had a cold smile on its face. As it spoke, it took the initiative to walk in the direction of the sea of flames, as if it wanted to step into the sea of flames in front of these humans. But soon, the fire Qilin's movements came to an abrupt halt, and a trace of surprise flashed through its eyes. It could feel that the flames were indeed ordinary flames, but when it took a step forward, the flames were indifferent and refused to follow any of its orders. As a king among fire-type beasts, if it was just an ordinary flame, it would be impossible for it not to respond to its orders. This could only happen under two circumstances. The first was that the flames in front of it were all similar to the purgatory fire. Because it was not a purgatory demon beast, the purgatory fire would resist its control. The second reason was that there was someone nearby who was more proficient in the fire element than it, and instantly changed and deleted its orders. That was why it was so calm. Because of the strange phenomenon from before, the fire Qilin finally stopped running. Instead, it looked at Qin and Yan Xingqi who were chasing after it. Yan Xingqi twirled the crescent halberd in his hand and sneered, "You should have known that you would not be able to escape from our encirclement. Why did you waste everyone's time from the beginning? Now, are you ready to die?" The fire Qilin's eyes were gloomy. It did not respond to Yan Xingqi's words, and only muttering. After a while, something seemed to appear in the sky. The people standing on the ground could clearly feel that the sky had darkened. At this moment, the sky was as gloomy as before a rainstorm. However, when they raised their heads, they felt that it was extremely dazzling. They couldn't see what was in the sky, let alone know why the sky had darkened. It's the doomsday meteor. Although Master Qin did not raise his head, he still had a serious look on his face. Every famous powerhouse will have one or two trump cards. If they don't have any, it can only be said that this existence has not really stepped into the ranks of the world's top class. For example, Yan Xingqi's overlord carries the cauldron could almost defeat an entire medium-sized beast tied by himself. The same is true for Fire Qilin's Doomsday Meteor. If Fire Qilin used Doomsday Meteor in its heyday, it could even directly raze the entire Shunning City to the ground. Existences at their level, if placed in Lin Yuan's previous life, could already be described as strategic weapons. Yan Xingqi twirled the crescent halberd in his hand, squinted his eyes and said, "The Doomsday Meteor is very powerful, but it cannot move while it is being cast. I will go and hold it off first. You take the opportunity to kill the Fire Qilin." Master Qin nodded and did not say anything else. A circle of golden light appeared all over his body, and he turned into a small golden man and rushed towards the Fire Qilin. Lin Yuan, who was hiding and watching the battle, slightly looked to the side, and his heart inexplicably tightened. After all, the bloodline upgrade mission was still on him. Something like killing the Fire Qilin naturally had to be done by himself. If the Fire Qilin was killed by Master Qin while it was being cast, how could he explain himself? Boom! Before Master Qin, who had turned into a golden light, could touch the Fire Qilin, he was directly pushed back several steps by a figure wearing a red robe with cloud patterns. He raised his head with a face full of shock, and his eyes fell on the puppet that was moving on its own. A touch of fear flashed across his eyes. The Fire Qilin was fully focused on casting the Doomsday Meteor, and could not control the puppet to fight with him. So at this moment, the puppet was moving on its own. Seeing the puppet push back Master Qin, a touch of doubt flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes, but he lay dormant again. Since the Fire Qilin was not in danger for the time being, there was no need for him to join in the fun. After all, it was a battle between the Void Realm and the Desolate Demon Realm, and it was difficult for him, a little demonic beast who had not even reached the Mountain Lord Realm, to get involved. The puppet looked at Master Qin coldly. With a slight shake of its right hand, a sword tip emerged from its palm. The puppet's aura also changed abruptly. It changed from a pile of rotten wood to a domineering swordsman. Judging by its aura, it was as if it had been determined by the world. Seeing this scene, Master Kyuin was even more shocked. Behind the fire Kirin, there was indeed a powerful force, and it might even be on the same level as the force that suppressed the Shenwu dynasty this time. Otherwise, how could a mere puppet stand up and fight on its own when its master could not control it? It was precisely because of the existence of this puppet that the fire Qilin changed its previous attitude and unscrupulously released its ultimate move. It was not worried that the opponent would take the opportunity to kill it or interrupt its ultimate move. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound of friction rang out. A huge meteorite slowly fell from the sky, crushing towards Shunning City. Yen Xingqi flew up, and the crescent halberd in his hand spun, and the illusion of a shirtless man with shoulder-length hair instantly appeared behind him. This illusion maintained the exact same posture as Yen Xingqi and did not touch anything, but it was able to greatly enhance Yen Xingqi's strength. If Yen Xingqi's previous combat strength was 1, then under the enhancement of the illusion, Yen Xingqi's combat strength was at least 5. Chapter 254. The first meteorite was smashed into pieces by Yen Xingqi's crescent halberd. This meteorite was made of pure energy, so naturally, it would not break into smaller pieces and continue to attack Shunning City. However, Yen Xingqi's face showed a hint of seriousness. After all, the last time the fire Kirin used Doomsday Meteor, it summoned meteorites to bombard a place for 3 days and 3 nights. It forcefully smashed a large plain into an abyss-like terrain. Although the current fire Qilin couldn't be compared to the fire Qilin of the past, summoning dozens of meteorites was still an easy task for the fire Qilin. However, smashing these meteorites was not an easy task for the fire Qilin. The first meteorite took a long time to form. Although he smashed the meteorite with 1 strike, that strike had drained nearly 30% of his energy. Therefore, if Master Kyuin could not interrupt the fire Kirin's casting as soon as possible, he might not be able to withstand it. Of course, it was not impossible to take a step back. After all, there was still a Guardian Formation in Shunning City. If such a meteorite fell on the Guardian Formation, it would at most cause some ripples on the Guardian Formation. Although it would be difficult to withstand the number of meteorites, there was no other way. As the protector of Shunning City, Yen Xingqi was very clear about the material reserves of this city. Not to mention withstanding the attack of the beast tied outside, if the materials here were moved out, it would not be a problem to support a small-scale war. The fire Qilin's act of directly summoning doomsday meteors to attack Shunning City was truly disgusting. If Yen Xingqi didn't stop these meteors, by the time the fire Qilin finished casting the spell, the defensive formation of Shunning City would have been on the verge of collapse. Not to mention the huge amount of resources that would be consumed, the defensive formation without sufficient energy supply might not be able to defend against those demon beasts that were eyeing the city covetously. In just a moment, Yen Xingqi waved his crescent halberd again and smashed another meteor. A thin layer of sweat even appeared on his forehead. Standing in the air, he constantly adjusted his breathing, trying to adjust his physical strength to minimize the loss of energy. However, the moment he lowered his head, Yen Xingqi's eyes slightly narrowed, revealing a hint of anxiety. With his eyesight, he could easily see Master Kyuin, who was restrained by the puppet. Although he did not know why the fire Kirin had a helper, the situation was very disadvantageous for him. However, the current situation was obviously very unfavorable for him. If Master Kyuin could not break through the puppet's sword curtain, the Doomsday Meteor would not stop. In this way, Shunning City would definitely not be able to survive this beast tide. I will not allow. You filthy demon beasts, take one more step into my hometown. Yen Xingqi's black hair flew in the air, his muscles bulging out. If his previous physique could only be described as tall and slender, then the current Yen Xingqi could be described as burly and strong. Just his arm alone was 3 times the thigh of a normal adult man's thigh. His body's hiss had. Boom! The 3 meteorites were smashed one by Yen Xingqi. One could see his bulging muscles pulsating. His eyes were also filled with blood. It was obvious that his body had reached its limit. However, at this time, Yan Xingqi's face did not reveal any fear. His pair of cold eyes stared at the meteorites that were still forming in the air. Yan Xingqi's lips curled up slightly. His feet stepped in the air, and his entire body began to spin. The crescent halberd was completely spun by him. When his speed reached its peak, Yan Xingqi suddenly let go of his hand. The crescent halberd maintained its high speed as it swung in the direction of the meteorites. The 3 meteorites that had just formed were smashed into pieces by the crescent halberd. At the same time, the crescent halberd streaked across the sky and quickly disappeared. However, Yan Xingqi did not have the slightest intention of retrieving his weapon. He took a horse stance in the air and stabilized himself. Then he slowly formed a fist technique. This was one of the basic fist techniques passed down in the Shenwu dynasty's army. It had the effect of strengthening one's body. If an ordinary person practiced this fist technique, they could easily live to 70 or 80 years old. They could even directly enter the ranks of cultivators. However, even with such a basic fist technique, supported by Yan Xingqi's terrifying strength, it still exuded a domineering aura that could shatter mountains. Every move he made, even the sound of air exploding could be heard. Yan Xingqi caught up with the 2 falling meteors and smashed them into pieces with a single punch. The scene was extremely spectacular. So this is one of the strongest among the humans? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and sized up Yan Xingqi, who was hovering in the sky like a god. His eyes could not help but reveal a hint of seriousness. His path had been too smooth and there was no barrier between realms. With the support of the blood boil technique, it was easy for him to kill a few strong enemies above his realm. Although he had shocked the world during the 3 crusades in Zhanshan City, and although the humans had deviated from the science and technology tree, the cultivation system and the science and technology system were still combined quite well. However, this only made Lin Yuan a little wary, but it was not enough to make him revere them. After all, after being a demonic beast for so long, humans had become a synonym for weakness in Lin Yuan's heart. Especially in a place like Zhanshan City that did not have a Heaven Dipper realm expert, there was not even a single opponent that Lin Yuan could take seriously. Over time, Lin Yuan had unknowingly become arrogant. Yan Xingqi's performance today was like a blow to the head, directly waking Lin Yuan up. Lin Yuan could not help but put away his thoughts of looking down on the heroes of the world. However, after seeing Yan Xingqi's godlike combat strength, Lin Yuan completely put away the contempt in his heart. When his gaze landed on Yan Xingqi and Master Qin, Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flickered with a hint of surprise. He had seen Yan Xingqi's combat strength with his own eyes, but what did it mean that Master Qin was evenly matched with a puppet? This guy, could it be that he was hiding his strength? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and his body emitted a faint chill. Even Master Qin felt a chill run down his spine. Chapter 255. The plan to kill the Fire Kirin had to be carried out today. Lin Yuan didn't care how many tricks the Fire Kirin had, nor did he care about the secrets of the Fire Kirin. He only knew that as long as he could kill the Fire Kirin, it would be very beneficial to him. Especially since things had already progressed to this stage, Lin Yuan simply couldn't allow the slightest possibility of an accident to happen. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Under Lin Yuan's signal, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, led by Sherdong, once again shot out the previous arrows. The black arrows were burning with crimson flames. Their target wasn't the puppet, the Fire Kirin, or Master Qin. Instead, they were thrown in a circle, directly encircling the puppet and Master Qin. These weren't ordinary arrows. Each arrow was plucked by marrow from the scarlet flame swamp. This kind of wood that could still exist after being calcined by the fire of purgatory was a very good material for refining equipment. However, Lin Yuan obviously didn't have the ability to refine equipment, so he could only make use of it. He polished this kind of wood into arrows, and then used marrow to create a kind of kerosene that could directly produce pseudo-fire of purgatory when it was heated with the air through intense friction. The fire Kirin couldn't control these flames previously because they were fire of purgatory, which was almost completely different from ordinary flames. However, the fire Kirin could be considered to have reacted very quickly. If it had directly walked into the range of the pseudo-fire of purgatory, it might have already been burned to ashes. Association of the Demon Emperor, what is the meaning of this? Master Qin, who was trapped with the puppet, suddenly had a gloomy expression. He bowed his body and vigilantly sized up the puppet that was ready to attack in front of him, as he growled in a low voice. Shi Dong put on the devil mask and walked out of a shop with a long saber in his hand. Then, members of the Association of Demon Emperor who were dressed similarly to him jumped down from the buildings on both sides of the street with various melee weapons in their hands. Their eyes fell on Master Qin's face without any respect or fear. Shi Dong purposely lowered his voice and said, "Master Qin, we sincerely want to cooperate with you, but it seems like you are not willing to cooperate with us. You are wasting so much time on a puppet. What, do you have some personal grudge with Yan Xingqi? Do you want to use Kirin to kill him?" Without waiting for Master Qin to reply, Shi Dong laughed coldly and said, "Oh, by the way, there are only 2 Void Realm Masters in Shunning City. If you have any good stuff, the only one who can compete with you is Yan Xingqi. If he dies, your life will be much better in the future, right? At least in the 7 border cities, you are the strongest. Whoever sees you has to give you some face, isn't that right?" Shi Dong's words were like a sharp saber that stabbed into Master Qin's heart. He held back before because he was afraid of the power behind Fire Kirin. But he couldn't deny that Shi Dong's words were one of his true thoughts. If he could use Fire Kirin to kill Yan Xingqi, he would be the supreme master in the 7 border cities without this stumbling block. Bullshit! Master Qin shouted angrily. Looking at the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor walking towards the Fire Qilin with their sabers drawn, he said coldly, "The Fire Qilin is not someone you can afford to offend. Even I am regretting taking this job. Even the background of the kid with you is far inferior to the Fire Qilin. What kind of bullshit is your Association of Demon Emperors? If you mess with such an existence, believe it or not, when the sun rises tomorrow, your whole organization will be hung on the city wall. What kind of bullshit is our Association of Demon Emperor?" Shi Dong was slightly stunned. His eyes showed a touch of astonishment. Then he laughed and said loudly, "I will tell you now. What you don't dare to do, our Demon Emperor will. What you don't kill, our Demon Emperor will kill. From today onwards, there can only be one voice in the underground world of the 7 border cities. Fire Kirin must die today. If you old things meddle in other people's business, hee." The Association of Demon Emperor was a group of people who hated the Shenwu dynasty. Their ultimate goal was to overthrow the Shenwu dynasty's rule of this land. As for the forces under the banner of the Shenwu dynasty, they were not afraid of them at all. The Association of Demon Emperor didn't have a territory now, but they would in the future. The Association of Demon Emperor didn't have any experts now, but they would in the future. Throughout the hundreds of years of the Shenwu dynasty, there had never been a force that developed as strongly as the Association of Demon Emperor. Criminals, demi-humans, demonic beasts, these forces that were ignored by the Orthodox dynasties were now gathered under the banner of the Association of Demon Emperor. As long as the Association of Demon Emperor didn't do anything that would put them at the brink of death, this organization would only become stronger and stronger. Its influence would also grow bigger and bigger. It wouldn't stop until it became the top existence in this world. After all, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor had never been welcomed in the secular world. Apart from their own people, everyone else was their enemy. The enormous pressure would only make them grow, and would not make the organization grow bloated and rotten as time went by. Of course, there were ways to curb the growth of the Association of Demon Emperor. As long as the Orthodox dynasties, first-rate forces, and various aristocratic families were willing to accept the existence of the Association of Demon Emperor, then if they had to choose between 2 forces, except for those with lofty ambitions, almost everyone would choose the established first-rate force instead of a developing force. However, this method of taking drastic measures obviously wasn't something that anyone could do. After all, most of the forces couldn't afford to lose face. Even if some people were willing to feign civility, as time passed, their true colors would be exposed. Even if they didn't do anything, the members under their feet wouldn't treat the existence that they had previously trampled under their feet as their true companions. Lin Yuan had considered if other dynasties were to imitate the association of demon emperors model and establish an organization. However, just like the business world in his previous life, everyone knew that some things could make money, but once you threw yourself into it, you would often lose everything. After all, while you were competing with your peers, you still had to see if those above you were willing to lend a hand to you, right? Although the association of Demon Emperor wasn't an independent force in the Shenwu dynasty, its influence was deeply intertwined. Even if the Shenwu dynasty wanted to remove the association of Demon Emperor, they would have to pay the price in blood. At this precarious moment, the Shenwu dynasty wouldn't lay a hand on the association of Demon Emperor. By the time they recovered, it would be too late. Therefore, in the other 6 dynasties, once an organization similar to the association of Demon Emperor appeared, it would be exterminated with full force. Chapter 256. Master Qin was at a loss for words. The higher-ups had clearly stated that the Kongming realm and the Desolate Demon realm could not casually participate in the affairs of the major forces. Their purpose of existence was to serve as strategic weapons to deter the enemy. With the existence of the association of the Demon Emperor, even if Yan Xingqi died, Master Qin would not become the leader of the 7 border cities. Not to mention how many members of the association of the Demon Emperor had yet to appear. Just the mysterious Demon Emperor alone was not an existence that anyone dared to covet. Previously, there was a rumor that the Demon Emperor of the association of the Demon Emperor had even given out an Earth-class upper-grade cultivation technique as a reward for killing the Fire Kirin. Furthermore, it was the kind that could be obtained as long as one participated in the mission. If it was not for the fact that they were unsure of the authenticity of the rumor, many rogue cultivators would have already rushed here to kill the Fire Kirin. Since ancient times, all kinds of cultivation techniques were the treasures of a sect. They could accept the loss of cultivation techniques or even the loss of generations, but they definitely did not want their own cultivation techniques to be leaked. It was not that there were no cultivators like the Demon Emperor who directly used an Earth-class upper-grade cultivation technique as a reward. However, those people were all born in famous sects and had a blood feud with the destruction of their country. That was why they would take out their ancestral cultivation techniques to seek revenge for them. However, the conditions were extremely harsh. Even if they completed the mission, they might not be able to obtain the cultivation technique. Now that the Demon Emperor had casually taken out an Earth-class upper-grade cultivation technique as a reward, it had already attracted the attention of many big shots. However, the big shots restrained each other, and no one could easily touch the association of the Demon Emperor, let alone find the mysterious Demon Emperor. Even if they wanted to obtain the real treasure of the association of the Demon Emperor, they were powerless. After all, everyone was the same. If they could not obtain something, then no one else could. However, under such circumstances, the rumor that the Demon Emperor was the reincarnation of the ancient Demon Emperor had already been confirmed. Even Lin Yuan himself did not expect that the identity that he casually made up when he wanted to plant a spy in the mountain blocking city and make arrangements for his future conquest of the Tianwu continent would actually be believed by someone. Furthermore, as time passed, more and more people believed in it. Black Snake, are you still not going to show yourself? Ignoring the bickering between Sherdong and Master Qin, Fire Kirin suddenly opened its eyes and asked. Now that things had developed to this point, especially when he had just calmed down to think about it, Fire Kirin realized that the one who betrayed him was not necessarily Brother Mi, who had been caught by Mountain Blocking City. Instead, it was the Black Snake who had been following him. He seemed to have his own plans all along. Furthermore, he was obviously in contact with Mountain Blocking City. This group of people wearing devil masks and calling themselves the Association of Demon Emperors were obviously the subordinates of that black snake. Even if I show myself, what can you do? Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and slowly appeared in Fire Kirin's line of sight. He sneered, "Senior Fire Kirin, are you going to scare me away with just a few words? Why don't you think about how much strength you still have left to use? And do you dare to stop the spell and release Yen Xingqi?" Phew! Fire Kirin exhaled a long breath of turbid air, opened its eyes wide, and said with a bitter smile, "It seems that I have underestimated you, Black Snake. You've been trying to catch wild geese all day long, but I didn't expect to be pecked in the eye by the wild geese. You were scheming against me right under my nose, but I didn't see through it. I was too careless." With Fire Kirin's ability, tracking and investigating Lin Yuan was not a difficult task. However, things had developed to this point, not because Lin Yuan's plan was outstanding, but because Fire Kirin did not regard Lin Yuan as its opponent at all. It had been preparing to leave Shunning City and did not take Lin Yuan seriously at all, let alone pay attention to what Lin Yuan had been doing during this period of time. Now that things have come to this, there's no use regretting it. Lin Yuan said with a smile. Ever since he contacted Lei Fan, he had been on tenterhooks. If Bai Lu could know about this matter, then as long as Fire Qilin was willing, it could also investigate at any time. Therefore, for the past few days, Lin Yuan had been reminding him to stay alert. He was afraid that his plan would be discovered by Fire Qilin. If Fire Qilin directly attacked and killed him, he really didn't have much chance of winning. Fire Kirin nodded slightly, indicating that it agreed with Lin Yuan's words. Now that things had come to this, there was no use regretting it. However, Fire Kirin's eyes flashed with a hint of doubt and asked, "But I'm curious, in the Sumer world, there were some disagreements between us, but in the end, you benefited from it, and I did not really do anything to you. Instead, I saved you. Even if we are not friends, we don't have to be enemies, right?" Lin Yuan was silent. Although he and Fire Kirin had always been enemies, there was no enmity between them. However, Lin Yuan's actions could be said to be repaying evil with good. There were always two sides to everything, and it could not be said that Fire Kirin's heart was definitely good even if the result was good. If Lin Yuan did not have the system with him and was caught in the Sumer world, his ending would not be any better than Jiao Xinghai and the others. Even if Lin Yuan had avoided being devoured of his life force, when Fire Kirin had poured the life force it needed to restore its strength into his body, it had intended to use him to attract the attention of its lord, so that it could take the opportunity to escape. Later, when it discovered that the Sumer world could not be saved, it simply detonated the Sumer world. The reason why it took Lin Yuan away was naturally not out of kindness, but because it could not bear to give up such a huge amount of life force. It planned to find a safe place to devour Lin Yuan to absorb the life force. However, just like before, the devouring power did not take effect, and the life force was quickly refined by Lin Yuan, and both sides entered a period of peace. You and I are both monsters, and the law of the jungle is the law of the jungle. You don't eat me because it is useless to eat me. In addition, you and I have different ideologies. I know that there must be a powerful force behind you. Even if you leave the Hengduan Mountains now, sooner or later, you will come back again. At that time, in your eyes, won't I be like a weed that can be harvested at any time?" Lin Yuan took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "I am not afraid of death, but I cherish my life very much. I still have some things that I must do, so eliminating potential threats is very necessary for me. Fire Kirin, if you were in my position, would you be able to find a reason to let go of a future threat?" This time, it was Fire Kirin who was silent. Thinking about it from another perspective, Fire Kirin expressed that not only would it not let go of the black snake, it might even be more ruthless. Chapter 257. However, since you know that there is a powerful force behind me, you should also know that they are determined to obtain the Hengduan mountain range. Even if you kill me, you will not be able to change anything. Someday in the future, you will meet their members again. However, if it is me, I can at least spare your life, can't I? Fire Kirin exuded a confident aura. It smiled and said, "The Hengduan mountain range is ours. Even if I fail in the end, they will send a stronger existence. How long can Kirin alone protect the Hengduan mountain range? You are a new generation expert in the Hengduan mountain range. You should know very well that those old things in the Hengduan mountain range are about to die. But after so many years, how many of the new generation of monsters in the Hengduan mountain range have grown?" The Hengduan mountain range was indeed a gathering place for monsters, but monsters were not the only ones in the Hengduan mountain range. There were also groups of monsters in other parts of the Tianwu continent. Most of the human forces kept some monsters as food or laborers. Decades ago, when the Beast Lord Kirin was at its peak, not to mention the Hengduan mountain range, these people would tremble in fear at the news of the Beast Lord Kirin. But at this time, the Beast Lord Kirin had been weak for a long time, and the Hengduan mountain range happened to be in the center of the Tianwu continent. It would be a joke to say that those people did not want to control the Hengduan mountain range. You don't have to worry about that. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes narrowed slightly. All the muscles in his body tensed up. He was ready to fight with the Fire Kirin at any time. At this time, the Fire Kirin might die anyway. Lin Yuan had to be on guard against it taking him down with it. The Fire Kirin closed its eyes slightly and sighed, "I tried so hard to break through life and death and return to this world. Unfortunately, I didn't even get to breathe the air of freedom for a few days before I have to die again." Perhaps the Fire Kirin knew that it could no longer change its fate, or perhaps it had already died once. Although the Fire Kirin took life and death very seriously, it was much more indifferent than those who had never died. It didn't even have the interest to attack Lin Yuan. It closed its eyes and waited for death. "Black Snake, hurry up if you want to make a move. This guy seems to be planning something big. I can barely hold on." Yan Xingqi's voice came from above. Only now did Lin Yuan realize that the originally gloomy sky had completely darkened. If it weren't for the faint light, Lin Yuan would have thought that the sky had turned dark. Lin Yuan didn't even bother to look up. He knew that the Fire Kirin was definitely gathering all its power to combine the meteorites that were supposed to condense into a single entity. Just by looking at the surrounding darkness, Lin Yuan had a rough idea of the size of the meteorite. If it really fell, even the protective formation of Shunning City would be unable to withstand it. At that time, the entire Shunning City, including himself, would probably be wiped out. "Black Snake, you only have one chance. If you can't kill me, everyone will die with me." The smile on the Fire Qilin's face revealed a hint of madness, and its tone was somewhat overbearing. Under such circumstances, all the pressure was placed directly on Lin Yuan. If it was someone with a weak will, they would quickly doubt themselves under such circumstances. They would feel that they couldn't kill the Fire Kirin with one strike. If their state of mind was disturbed, everything would be exposed. However, Lin Yuan had experienced two lives. Whether it was the blood feud in his previous life or the obsession in this life, Lin Yuan's will had reached a terrifying level. Almost as soon as the Fire Kirin finished speaking, Lin Yuan had already begun to accumulate power. Master Qiwen's face was slightly distorted. He said in a low voice, "Black Snake, do you know what you are doing? You don't really want to kill the Fire Kirin, do you? Lunatic, lunatic. Do you know how terrifying the forces behind the Fire Kirin are? If you want to die, then die by yourself. Don't drag all of us down with you, okay?" Master Qiwen really regretted taking on this task. The powerful force behind the Fire Qilin had set its eyes on the Hengduan mountain range. It had casually allowed an existence like the Fire Qilin to appear at the edge of the Hengduan mountain range. Moreover, it had quickly raised its flag and issued a challenge to the Qilin, the Beast Lord. This matter was originally an internal matter of the demon beasts. If they handled it well, not only would they not offend either side, they might even be able to secretly take a sip of the soup while the others ate the meat. However, if the Fire Kirin died in Shunning City today, the nature of this matter would completely change. Especially since he and Yan Xingqi, who purposely attacked the Fire Kirin, would definitely be implicated. The forces behind the Fire Kirin would definitely not leave them out of the revenge. Just thinking about it made Master Qin's heart tremble. However, behind him was the sea of purgatory fire, and in front of him was the puppet swordsman. Even if he wanted to rush into the sky to stop the black snake, he had to consider whether the puppet swordsman in front of him was willing to let him pass, and whether Yan Xingqi, who was in the sky, would allow him to interfere at this critical moment. After all, Yan Xingqi had never been afraid of anything, especially the revenge of a powerful force. Previously, when Lei Qiusheng gathered all the rebels to attack the imperial city, Yan Xingqi dared to lead tens of thousands of imperial guards to fight against Lei Qiusheng using the imperial city as the battlefield. Due to the huge difference in strength, Yan Xingqi dragged on for half a month. When the last soldier was killed, Lei Qiusheng finally broke into the imperial palace. In that battle, Lei Qiusheng witnessed the terror of Yan Xingqi. Therefore, after the failure of the imperial decree, Lei Qiusheng did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. He only sent Yan Xingqi to Shunning City in the name of exiling a criminal from the previous dynasty and used Yan Xingqi's hands to clean up the atmosphere around the Hengduan mountain range. Facts had proven that Lei Qiusheng did not turn hostile back then, which was indeed the right choice. Yan Xingqi's will was very firm. He only wanted to protect the land behind him. Therefore, for so many years, Yan Xingqi stood in Shunning City and never backed down. No matter what it was, as long as it threatened the safety of his homeland, he would only attack it madly. There were no exceptions. The existence of the Fire Kirin was undoubtedly more dangerous than the Beast Lord Kirin. Therefore, Yan Xingqi hoped that the Fire Kirin would die in Shunning City today more than the Black Snake. Of course, if the Black Snake could perish together with the Fire Kirin, that would be Yan Xingqi's wish. Damn it! Lunatics! They are all lunatics! Qin Dashi muttered in frustration. He really could not make up his mind at this moment. Chapter 258. Two flowers bloomed, each representing a branch. Let's not talk about the end of the battle between the top experts in Shunning City. Let's talk about the main battlefield. Bai Lu originally planned to follow Black Snake's plan and attack Shunning City after dragging out the allied forces in the camp. However, it was clear that not all the monsters could understand how terrifying Lin Yuan's plan was. Not all the monsters could calm down and wait. Therefore, when Bai Lu proposed the plan, it was strongly refuted. Most of the Beast Kings believed that the demonic beasts had strong physiques. Facing a group of weak human cultivators, they only needed to charge forward recklessly to flatten the humans. In addition, the Demon Emperor had promised them before. Although they did not believe it, there was no problem in trying. Under the voting system of the majority, Bai Lu could not stop the capricious behavior of these Beast Kings. He could only helplessly follow the tide of monsters to the vicinity of Shunning City. What happened next almost made all the demonic beasts pale with fright. First, there was the battle on the city wall of Shunning City. Although they did not see the whole process, they could smell the blood from afar. It was obvious that the conditions promised by the Demon Emperor Association had begun to be fulfilled. Therefore, the demonic beasts began to rush to Shunning City excitedly. However, before the demonic beasts could get close to the city wall, huge meteorites fell from the sky and smashed into the protective array of Shunning City. Not long after, a powerful human stepped into the air and destroyed more than 10 meteorites with ease. In the face of an existence of this level, they simply did not have any ability to resist. If that human had not been dealing with the meteors in the sky and had fallen into their formation, it was estimated that in less than an hour, these demonic beasts would have been completely slaughtered by the other party. However, the words spoken by the man earlier caused the group of demonic beasts to hold their breaths. Black Snake? Was it the Black Snake in their imagination? The only one who could confirm this was Bai Lu, who had met Lin Yuan before. Looking at the ghostly figure in the sky, Bai Lu could not help but sigh. Not long ago, the Black Snake was the weakest among the Beast Kings in the Hengduan Mountains. Whether in cultivation, subordinates, or territory, it was not ranked at all in the Hengduan Mountains. But how long had it been? The Black Serpent's cultivation was already above small Beast Kings like them. Even if it cooperated with humans, The partners it chose were clearly existences that stood at the peak of the human world. Bai Lu, what should we do? King Kong looked worriedly at the huge meteorite hanging high in the sky and asked resentfully. It didn't have a big heart, so it still felt panicked at this time. It was only a little better than the ordinary demonic beasts that had already fled into the Hengduan Mountains. It clearly understood that even if it had 2 more legs, it would not be able to run out of the area covered by the huge meteorites under such a blow. What else can we do? Pray. Bai Lu rolled his eyes and said cheerfully, there must be strong people fighting in Shunning City. This blow does not distinguish between friend and foe. Even the spellcaster would not be able to withstand it, so the spellcaster must have been forced to a dead end. Otherwise, he would not use such a thing to perish together. Now we can only pray that the spellcaster will be beheaded before he completes the final casting. In this case, we may have a glimmer of hope. It was not that Bai Lu could see it clearly, but this was indeed a sad fact. Since they entered the range of Shunning City, their lives had been out of their control. Especially under the battle of several top experts, these demonic beasts only felt that they were trembling and did not have the slightest intention to fight at all. King Kong looked at Bai Lu suspiciously and whispered, although you are as calm as usual in the face of such a crisis, something is wrong. Tell me honestly, do you know something? As he spoke, King Kong suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air and frowned. Hiss, the black serpent mentioned by the human expert, could it be the black serpent I'm thinking of now? *CK. King Kong almost couldn't hold back the curse that was about to come out of his mouth. Previously, when they attacked Mountain Blocking City, the black serpent was the one with the lowest cultivation among them. Although the black serpent's combat strength was not weak, it was nothing compared to King Kong, who was also good at fighting. If King Kong had fought the black serpent back then, he would have had at least a 60% chance of defeating the black serpent and a 20% chance of killing it. However, how long had it been since then? Had the black serpent already been involved in the top circle? In the face of a contender of this level, beast kings like them could only tremble in fear. However, the black serpent had personally participated in this battle, and was even entrusted with an important task by the ultimate contender who had blocked the meteor. It was about to attack the spellcaster. After today, if we survive, this black serpent will become the uncrowned king of the periphery of the Hengduan Mountains. Bai Lu dug the ground with his hooves with a faint smile on his face, and said in a deep voice, King Kong, I don't mean to say this, but you should also take a stand. Are you going to stand on the side of that old and incompetent beast king? Or are you going to stand on the side of the black serpent who is destined to become a big shot in the Hengduan Mountains? Hearing this, King Kong suddenly fell silent. Although the territory around the Stoneclaw Forest belonged to Subaru in name, this Sacred Heart ape obviously did not have the time to take care of such a peripheral territory, so he could only hand it over to the beast kings he trusted. For example, this King Kong was an existence that Subaru had personally supported back then. However, this beast king's temperament was too weak. Previously, when the Green Marsh clan targeted the Black Serpent, they had arranged for Blood Claw to go to the Stoneclaw Forest to fight with Lin Yuan. After that, when Mountain Blocking City was destroyed and the Beast Kings under its command were either dead or injured, this Beast King did not take the initiative to ask about it or help them withstand part of the pressure. In the end, what they waited for was still the nearby Beast Kings annexing the territory around the Stoneclaw Forest, and it was still the other Beast Kings who sent their own demon beasts to deal with the Black Serpent. If Bai Lu hadn't seen the Beast King not long ago, he would have thought that the Beast King who controlled the Stoneclaw Forest and the surrounding areas had died in some unknown corner. Obviously, Bai Lu was extremely disappointed in this Beast King in name. Aren't you thinking too highly of that Black Serpent? King Kong reached out and touched his head, freeing himself from the fear. Chapter 259. King Kong shook his head and said with a gloomy face, "To put it bluntly, the Black Serpent may be stronger than us, but its background in the Hengduan Mountains is far from yours. If you are willing, it's not impossible." Shut up! Bai Lu opened his mouth and interrupted King Kong's next words. A dignified look flashed in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "I've thought about this before, but you also know that in the Hengduan mountain range, relationships, and background are all things that can be forgotten for demonic beasts. What really determines the status of demonic beasts like us is our strength." Speaking of this, Bai Lu's eyes flashed with a touch of sadness. He smiled bitterly and said, "You know my situation, so I don't want to be unable to change the situation in this area after getting the position with your support. But Black Snake is different. His ambition, courage, and strength are enough for this position. Moreover, Black Snake is more protective of his own people. With him at the top, our lives will be better." King Kong's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. He said softly, "Even if you don't want to go up, why recommend him? I know Black Snake has endless potential and will become a big shot in the Hengduan Mountains in the future. But you also have to remember that Black Snake has offended many powerful existences. Whether he can live until that day is still unknown." Bai Lu was silent for a moment. When he raised his head again, a touch of coldness flashed in his eyes. He said, "I don't care what you think of Black Snake, but this guy is the only one in recent years who can make me look at him with new eyes. After all the things at hand are settled, I will become blood brothers with Black Snake. From now on, anyone who attacks Black Snake will attack me." King Kong's face changed slightly, but he did not say much nonsense. He just reached out and touched his head, squeezing out a bitter smile from his face. "By the way, go and appease the demonic beasts under your command. The battle in Shunning City will be over soon. Get ready to attack the city." Bai Lu's voice sounded, which made King Kong's footsteps pause slightly. A strange look appeared in his eyes again. Organizing the demonic beasts to attack the city at this time? Wasn't this crazy? Now that the demonic beasts were in a state of panic, it would not be easy to gather them together again. If they continued to attack Shunning City, wouldn't the demonic beasts below be driven into a riot? Bai Lu nodded and said expressionlessly, "Aren't you curious as to why I only struggled for a moment before following them over when I clearly had a better plan in my hands? I just received news from the clan today. They said that the Monster Beast Palace is very dissatisfied with our progress. They plan to send an outstanding commander to lead us to attack the city. Do you know what this means?" King Kong's eyes narrowed as he nodded fiercely. Right now, the various beast kings were commanding their respective demonic beasts. All of them had the intention to protect their own strength. Therefore, many places that could be taken down in one go were being fought with great anxiety on the battlefield. Some places that didn't even need to be fought were being piled up with large numbers of demonic beasts. However, the commanders sent by the Monster King Court wouldn't talk to them about preserving their strength. Anyway, the demonic beasts weren't under his command. It didn't matter how many demonic beasts died. As long as they could take down Shunning City, it would be a great achievement for the commander. If they couldn't take down Shunning City before the commander arrived, who knew how much they would have to pay to take down Shunning City? Maybe the whole army would be wiped out here. At the same time, in Shunning City, Fire Kirin's eyes were smiling as he looked at the Black Snake in front of him. Although he didn't say anything, an invisible pressure pressed down on him like a mountain, as if it wanted to crush the Black Snake into meat paste. Master Qin sat cross-legged in the center of the purgatory fire. His hands were clasped together, and he was chanting scriptures at an extremely fast speed. "Black Snake, don't tell me you don't dare to do it?" Fire Kirin suddenly opened his mouth, and the smile on his face became a little twisted. He said in a deep voice, "If you continue to drag on like this, my spell will be over. Again, if you are willing to submit to me, I can give you shelter and status. When you grow up, you can take on the responsibility by yourself. Isn't that right?" "I've played this trick too many times." Lin Yuan flicked his tongue and sneered, "I'm just choosing a way for you to die. Originally, I wanted to leave you with a whole body, but I cherish my life. If you come back to life one day and stab me in the back, I might not be able to take it." So, as soon as his voice fell, a dense white cold air erupted from Lin Yuan's body, and a huge ice dragon that was hundreds of feet tall appeared in the sky above Lin Yuan's head. After circling for about 2 or 3 times, The ice dragon roared silently for a while and directly charged toward the fire Qilin. In terms of power alone, it was far inferior to the huge meteorite that blotted out the sky and covered the sun. However, this kind of means in the realm of wisdom, this move was definitely at the peak. Both Yan Xingqi and Master Qin were stunned at this moment. Lin Yuan's move almost had the embryonic form of a trump card skill. If it continues to grow, it may become a move like Hegemon Cauldron Lifting Cauldron, Doomsday Meteor, and become the trump card of this black snake. This meant that this black snake would definitely enter the Desolate Demon realm in the future, and it would be in the super first tier Desolate Demon realm. It was qualified to explore the higher realms. Danger! Yan Xingqi's thoughts were spinning rapidly in his mind. Compared to reputation and morality, he was more concerned about whether the land behind him would be destroyed by the attack of the demonic beasts. Therefore, facing Lin Yuan, the only thought in Yan Xingqi's mind at this moment was whether he should take advantage of the fact that the black snake had not yet grown up to eliminate the danger directly. When the ice dragon roared, Lin Yuan slowly raised his head and looked at Yan Xingqi in the sky. As he opened his mouth, he revealed a mocking smile, as if he saw through Yan Xingqi's thoughts. In fact, that was indeed the case. Thinking about it from another perspective, if Lin Yuan was Yan Xingqi, he would also not want to see a hidden danger grow up. However, Lin Yuan was not an ordinary monster. Whether it was his relationship with Mountain Blocking City, or the Demon Emperor Association that was slowly gathering around him, they were all like heavy bombs. If the details were not handled well, it might directly explode. At that time, no one would have a good life. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not believe that Yan Xingqi would have the guts to attack him. Chapter 260. The ice dragon whizzed down and hit the fire Kirin hard. The fire Kirin was pushed back 7 or 8 steps by the great impact, and a gloomy look flashed in its eyes. After losing its source of energy, the meteorite finally stopped growing. Instead, it condensed into a solid body and slowly fell down. Although it was still difficult to deal with, it was not as difficult as they had expected. It was impossible to get rid of this meteorite. Master Qin, give me a hand. Yan Xingqi's muscles bulged again, and streams of gang qi flowed out of his body. He tried his best to slow down the meteorite's falling speed, but a meteorite of this level was still not something he could deal with alone. When Master Qin moved, the puppet swordsman in front of him moved as well. But strangely, this guy did not seem to notice the existence of the black snake at all. Even though the fire Kirin had been seriously injured by the black snake, the puppet swordsman still stared at Yan Xingqi, refusing to let him get close to the fire Kirin. Master Qin licked his cracked lips, took out a Buddhist commandment blade and said coldly, "I'm in a hurry. I have no choice. Sorry to offend you." The moment his voice fell, the solemn golden light on Master Qin's face dissipated and was replaced by a layer of black mist. As the mist surged, it quickly formed the appearance of a Buddha, who was also smiling, but looked a bit weird in the rolling black mist. Master Qin also held a Buddhist commandment blade in his hand, which made the scene even weirder. "Buddha demon killing cut?" Sherdong suddenly exclaimed. Everyone's gazes immediately fell on Sherdong. Every Void Realm and Desolate Demon Realm expert hid their trump cards well. Besides cultivators of the same level, very few people knew what they were truly good at. For someone like Sherdong, who could even call out the name of his opponent's move, it was even rarer. Therefore, when Sherdong's voice fell, Qin looked at Sherdong in surprise. His trump card was indeed called Buddha Demon Killing Cut, but he was not stupid enough to call out the name every time he used it. After all, the Buddha Demon Killing Cut was not inherited from the Freedom Yard, but something he gained from a shady operation when he was traveling in his early years. This saber technique was very compatible with him, so he used it as his trump card. Sherdong did not answer why he called out the name of the Buddha Demon Killing Cut, and Master Qin did not dare to ask. After all, Sherdong was a subordinate of the Black Snake, and the association of the Demon Emperor was in the limelight. Fire Kirin. If he offended the Black Snake and the association of the Demon Emperor, he would lose. The puppet swordsman, who had been evenly matched with Master Qin, was quickly turned into a pile of broken parts and would under the attack of the Buddha demon killing cut. It no longer looked as majestic as before. After Master Qin confirmed that the puppet swordsman could not be restored, he nodded with satisfaction. With a tap of his foot, he flew out and headed straight for the huge meteorite in the sky. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and came in front of the fire Kirin. There was not a trace of emotion in his multicolored eyes, but there was no light. Obviously, Lin Yuan was thinking about something else. The fire Kirin looked at Lin Yuan and did not want to struggle anymore. Lin Yuan's ice dragon strike did not hurt it too badly. After all, it was in the desolate demon realm. Even if it was in the desolate demon realm, it was not an existence that a little wisdom realm demon beast could provoke. What really hurt it was the backlash from the incomplete doomsday meteor. At this moment, the fire Kirin even felt that its internal organs were being torn apart by the backlash. What? Snake? The fire Kirin murmured this name and said with misty eyes, "You're right. We are not the same kind of people. But I wasn't wrong before. We do have a common enemy. Be careful of the ink abyss. It's completely different from what it looks like. Congratulations, host. You have killed a desolate demon realm level 1 demon beast, the fire Kirin. You have received 200 attribute points. Congratulations, host. You have completed the Bloodline Advancement mission. You have received the Fire Kirin Bloodline X1. 2 consecutive system announcements rang out in his mind. Host's request has been detected. The Fire Kirin Bloodline has been exchanged for the Water Dragon Bloodline. Do you want to advance your bloodline immediately? Host's realm has been detected to be full. Temporary attribute point storage model has been activated. Host, please advance your bloodline as soon as possible to receive the advancement mission. Lin Yuan also opened his attribute panel at the same time and began to study his attributes. Host, Lin Yuan status, Sky-Piercing Black Python, Dragon Transformation / Evolvable, Realm, 2020 Speed, 200 Defense, 100 plus 20 Attack, 250 Demon Power, 1120 Assignable Attribute Points, 271 Talents, 1. Identify the enemy's location based on smell, unupgradable, 2. Create an accurate image of a 32,000-meter radius around the body based on smell, upgradable, 6/100, 3. Monarch of Water, your ability to control water has reached a certain level. In front of you, most methods of controlling water flow are so shallow and inferior. As long as you have a thought, you can deprive your opponent of their ability to control water flow at any time. Upgradable, 0/100, 4. Formless Ice, your control of the ice element has reached a preliminary stage. You are no longer the little trash that can only freeze water flow to injure people. Now, with your water talent, you can even freeze the moisture in the air and turn your ice into formless. Upgradable, 0/300, 5. Blood Sacrifice Wish Technique. Use your own blood or the blood of other creatures, can be replaced by attribute points, as a sacrifice to make a wish. Whether the wish is fulfilled or not depends on the strength of the wish and the quality of the sacrifice. Unupgradable, 6. Dragon Snake Scale Armor. When the scale armor is in good condition, it can provide the host with a 20% increase in defense. Unupgradable, 6. Pseudo-lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. The ancient holy kings ruled the world because they cultivated to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm. To cultivators, lawful embodiment of heaven and earth is the foundation of their path. After comprehending this skill, you can control the size of your body at will. The smallest size cannot be smaller than the smallest size of your species, and the largest size cannot exceed your original size. Upgradable, 0/100, Martial Arts. Rank 2 Golden Body Technique, 91/100, 2. Tyrannical Song of the World, Unupgradable, Skills, 1. Void's Embrace, 130/500, 2. Poison of Poisoned Wine, 225/300, 3. Bramble Whip, 121/300, 4. Blood Boil Technique, 9 out of 100. 5. All things have spirit, can be used to communicate with other creatures, unupgradable. Chapter 261. The last doomsday meteor was so powerful that even Yen Xingqi and Master Qin together could not withstand it. The two of them were forced down again and again. Although the doomsday meteor had lost a lot of energy in the process, it still landed firmly on the Guardian Formation of Shunning City. Boom! With the huge impact of the doomsday meteor, the Guardian Formation instantly surged. The originally bright golden light shield dimmed, leaving only a thin layer of milky white light curtain. The remaining energy of the doomsday meteor had finally been exhausted. This scene made Yen Xingqi and Master Qin heave a sigh of relief. At least the fire Qilin did not destroy Mountain Blocking City. However, what happened next made their smiles instantly freeze on their faces. The Guardian Formation had been weakened to the extreme, and the active demonic beasts outside no longer loitered around. They let out hysterical roars and rushed toward the direction of Shunning City. Pairs of bloodshot eyes lit up, as if they had been hungry for several years. Even Yen Xingqi, who had been dealing with the demonic beasts of the Hengduan Mountains for many years, could not help but feel the corners of his mouth dry and the saliva in his mouth bitter under the gaze of so many pairs of eyes below. You too, shouldn't you have left already? Lin Yuan looked at the two people who slowly landed on the ground and asked with a mocking expression. The Wild Demon Realm and the Kongming Realm had their own battlefields. However, outside these battlefields, the existences of these two realms were not allowed to casually make a move. If they did, it would be regarded as breaking the rules. When the two sides fought, the northern border defense line of the Shenwu dynasty would collapse instantly. If Lin Yuan had other identities, it would be fine. However, he was one of the beast kings of the Hengduan Mountains. Moreover, he appeared here when both sides were at war. If Yen Xingqi and Master Qin dared to break the rules and make a move on Lin Yuan, it would be tantamount to shedding all pretense of cordiality and forcing the existences of the Wild Demon Realm in the Hengduan Mountains to attack the Shenwu dynasty. Without a doubt, it would be a severe blow to the unstable Shenwu dynasty. Yen Xingqi just gave Black Snake a meaningful look and then left without saying a word. He wanted to protect this land, but at this juncture, when a large number of demonic beasts were attacking, it was best for him to remain indifferent. Even though he knew very well that without a strong foreign aid, it would be difficult for Shunning City to get through today's hurdle. Master Qin's temper was not as good as Black Snake's. In his opinion, with the death of Fire Kirin, he had been listed on the list of enemies of the organization behind the Fire Kirin. If not for Black Snake's interference, he would have returned to the Freedom Courtyard and continued to be revered Master Shur. Everyone had different thoughts when they had great power. Some people wanted to conquer the world, while others wanted to protect the world. However, such people were the minority after all. Most people would be like Master Qin, who only wanted to gain more benefits for themselves or their loved ones. Any stumbling block in front of them would be ruthlessly crushed. Of course, this was not to say that Master Qin was vulgar. To be able to stand out among countless people and reach this level, there were not many people who were easy to deal with. It was just that in this long period of time, after climbing to the so-called peak, they could no longer find the path to continue moving forward, so they gave up on continuing to climb. However, some people never gave up and continued to move forward. For example, Kirin, the beast master of the Hengduan Mountains, carried a heavy burden and moved forward on the endless road of the wild demon territory. No one knew how far he had walked, and no one knew when he would break through to the Demon King realm and become an existence that could shake the Tianwu continent with a stomp of his feet. Black Snake, you are very good. We will have a chance to meet again in the future. Master Qin clasped his hands together and chanted a Buddhist chant that Lin Yuan had never heard of. Then, he turned and left the place. However, as long as one was not an idiot, they could tell that Master Qin had said those words while gritting his teeth. Although he did not dare to attack Lin Yuan now, in his heart he had already sentenced Lin Yuan to death. After Yen Xingqi and Master Qin, the two Void Realm experts, left, The nervousness on the faces of the members of the Association of the Demon Emperors slightly subsided. Pairs of fervent eyes immediately looked at Lin Yuan. That was the Void Realm. Just a slight release of his aura was enough to suppress them to the point that they did not even dare to speak. This demon emperor could directly confront these two supreme-level powerhouses of the northern region, and from the beginning to the end, Lin Yuan did not even have a flicker in his eyes. Although he was not arrogant, he at least put himself on an equal footing with Yan Xingqi and Yan Xingqi when communicating. Sir Demon Emperor, now we... Sherdong adjusted the grimace mask on his face and asked. There was a large number of demon beasts outside attacking the city. Things had already come to this point. Now, whether to fight or retreat, was it not up to Lin Yuan? Phew! Lin Yuan let out a long breath. His heterochromatic eyes squinted slightly, and he said indifferently, organize the manpower. Help the Shenwu dynasty resist the first wave of the demon beast horde. Shunning City was the last line of defense in the northern frontier of the Shenwu dynasty. It could not be lost, and it could not be lost at this time. The power behind the fire Kirin had actually gone in the wrong direction from the beginning. It was not difficult to take over the Hengduan mountain range, as long as you were outstanding enough. No matter how dissatisfied the Beast King Kirin was, it had already passed its growth period and was now a mature demon beast. Soon, it would enter the aging period. If it could find a suitable successor, it would naturally spare no effort to nurture that person. However, the fire Kirin had been on the path of conquering with force from the beginning. It was as if it did not put the fire Kirin in its eyes. Naturally, it would end in failure. After all, if it was just an independent power, and including the hidden powers, except for the mysterious dragon palace of the Four Seas, there was no other power that was stronger than the Hengduan mountain range in the Tianwu continent. Shunning City could be lost, but it could not be now, and it could not fall into the hands of others. This was Lin Yuan's target. It was also the first place that he had entered the sights of the Beast King Kirin. There was no room for any mistakes. A cold light flashed in Lin Yuan's eyes, and he quickly flicked his tongue. The members of the Demon Emperors Association in front of him adjusted the grimace masks on their faces again, and marched toward Shunning City in a uniform pace. Although they hated the Shenwu dynasty, they were still humans in essence. Most of them even had their hometown and friends in the northern frontier. Let a group of demon beasts that only knew how to kill to break through? What a joke! Chapter 262. 3 days later. Puchi, Puchi. The sound of a sharp weapon piercing into a body resounded. King Kong, who had wrapped his right arm with leaves and herbs, slightly narrowed his eyes as he looked at a group of humans and demon beasts fighting each other hundreds of meters in front of him. His eyes were faintly discernible with a fierce look. The attack on Shunning City was obviously not as simple as they had imagined. After all, this was the last line of defense for the humans. Among the 6 border cities in front of them, except for the mountain-blocking city that was still under construction, the other cities basically only left a small number of people desperately trying to buy time for the main forces to retreat. It was not a battle at all. But when they arrived at Shunning City, the ferocious aura of these humans had even made the demon beasts feel a little bit scared. One by one, unknown, immature, or weathered faces fell under the claws and teeth of the demon beast tide. But the humans behind them were still dauntlessly advancing wave after wave, as if the demon beasts in front of them were not trying to take their lives, but some great benefits. Even a powerful beast king like King Kong was almost overturned under the crazy counterattack of the humans. If it were not for Bai Lu lifting him up, it would not only be his shoulder that was injured at this moment. It was estimated that the knife that was desperately slashed out by that human would have at least sunk into his neck. Under such an injury, King Kong really did not think that there was any possibility of him surviving. A creature with a fox head but a body similar to that of a human slowly walked up from behind. His pair of amber eyes fell on King Kong, obviously revealing a bit of contempt. He said in a deep voice, "King Kong, have your injuries been bandaged?" Now, immediately, go to the front line for me." King Kong's eyes were wide open. 80% of his combat strength came from his hands. Now that he had lost one of his hands, if he were to enter the front line of the meat grinder again, what was the difference between that and sending himself to death? Although he already knew that the warlords sent by the Monster King court wouldn't treat their lives as their own, such an obvious act of targeting still made King Kong unable to control his temper. This was because there were beast kings resting in the camp. Most of the beast kings were not as severely injured as he was. There were even beast kings that hid behind to rest after suffering minor injuries. The reason the overseer targeted it was because when the overseer had just arrived at the Hengduan Mountains yesterday, he had bluntly asked them for the Fey. His words were very explicit. If they were not willing to give him the Fey, he and his subordinates would be heavily taken care of in the upcoming battle. The Vulpera snorted disdainfully at the indignant King Kong. It was very clear that no matter how irascible Kong Kim was, he wouldn't attack it. After all, although the rules of the Hengduan mountain range weren't as strict and complicated as the humans, every rule was an unquestionable existence. It was the military commander sent by the Monster King court to supervise the battle. If it was killed by one of its subordinates, the entire Monster King court would be furious. Therefore, its arrogance was justified. It really didn't put these beasts in its eyes. As if to show its authority, the Vulpera glanced at Bai Lu and said in a deep voice, "And you? How many times have I told you before? Hurry up and urge those hesitant and fearful fellows at the back to gather. Do you take my words for granted?" The hesitant and fearful existences were the Stoneclaw Forest ruled by the Black Snake. Under the Black Snake's rule, the Stoneclaw Forest was probably the only force that didn't give face to the Monster King court. No matter what order the Monster King court gave, as long as the Stoneclaw Forest didn't want to participate, they could use the inferno beasts that ran rampant in the Scarlet Flame Swamp. Towards this kind of shameless behavior, the Monster King court couldn't come up with a good solution. After all, it was true that the Stoneclaw Forest's beasts were disobedient, but it was also true that the inferno beasts were confined in the Stoneclaw Forest. Is this the military commander of the Monster King court? Fighting a war means putting all your men on the line. If you win, you win. If you lose, you become trash. Is that right? A hoarse voice sounded from outside the tent. The Vulpera's expression changed. His eyes instantly became fierce. He said in a cold voice, "Who is it? Come out." As soon as he finished speaking, a black snake with faint golden scales slithered its body toward the Vulpera. In an instant, the atmosphere in the tent froze. Others might not know who this black snake was, but how could the monster kings around the Stoneclaw Forest not know who this black snake was? The Black Serpent and the Fire Kylan were no longer a secret among the beast kings near Shunning City. In addition, the strength of the Black Serpent was already above all the other demonic beasts. With the Stoneclaw Forest as the center, there were not many demonic beasts that dared to go against the will of the Black Serpent. "I'll ask you one last time. Or you?" The Vulpera's face flashed with anger. Ever since the Monster King court appointed military commanders, there had never been a case where the local monster kings didn't put the military commanders in their eyes. However, this scene really happened to this black snake. This mission wasn't difficult. The Monster King court didn't even try to attack the Shenwu dynasty's territory. After all, this time, the Shenwu dynasty had offended someone they shouldn't have offended. Therefore, the Monster King court had a good reason to attack the humans' territory. Therefore, it was already a great success for the Monster King court to rush some border cities. 6 of the 7 border cities were destroyed. Although it had nothing to do with the military commander, it still completed the mission perfectly. If it could also take down Shunning City, it would have completed the mission. After that, it would receive a great reward. In addition, in a mission that didn't require it to do anything, it could also obtain enough benefits for itself. This time, it targeted Kong Kim not only for the phase, but also to establish its prestige. As long as Kong Kim died on the battlefield, any monster king that didn't want to be targeted by it would have to obediently send it a large amount of phase. It would be enough for it to make a lot of money before it returned to the Monster King court. Lin Yuan glanced at the Vulpera, and a hint of disdain flashed in his eyes. He stretched his body and said to Bai Lu, "I want all the details of your battle during this period. You organize it and send it to me." Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes turned and landed on the monster kings that were slightly injured. He said coldly, "What are you doing here? Don't you know the situation at the front line is urgent? Maybe I should think about it later. Are you still suitable for the position of Monster King?" Chapter 263. As soon as Lin Yuan's voice fell, the entire area was silent. His cold eyes swept across the area, and almost no demon beast dared to look at him in the eye. Compared to the other demon beasts who were afraid of the black snake, the Vulpera was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He growled, "How dare you? I am the military governor appointed by the Monster King Court. Who do you think you are? You dare to give orders without me? Do you still have the Monster King Court in your eyes?" When the black snake appeared, he felt that his authority was being challenged. If he couldn't take care of the black snake, he would never be able to raise his head and do anything in the future. Therefore, he was so angry that he didn't even bother to find out why the other demon beasts were so afraid of the black snake. He directly went up to the black snake. In his opinion, he had the Monster King Court behind him. No matter how powerful the black snake was, it wouldn't be able to touch him at all. "Take it down." The Vulpera pointed at the black snake. His body was still trembling slightly. It wasn't fear, but pure anger. The surrounding demon beasts looked at each other. No one paid any attention to the Vulpera. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. They were afraid that they would offend the black snake. At this time, if the black snake was a little unhappy, it could start a massacre. The things that the black snake had done in the past were enough to prove this point. After all, this new generation of legendary demon beast king did not have a good temper. If anyone crossed the black snake's bottom line, they could only wait for the black snake to retaliate 10 times or 100 times more. "What are you waiting for? Go." The Vulpera was so angry that his heart was hurting. He really couldn't think of anyone in the outer area of the Hengduan Mountains that had such a big influence. Even the white deer from the 9-colored deer clan, who had the support of the Tramen clan, had to follow his orders obediently because of the Monster King Court, let alone the other demon beasts who didn't have any background. The military governor was very brave. In the war against Shunning City, he took the lead. In the end, he was killed by a round of cannon fire from the despicable humans. Not even his bones were left. Lin Yuan's voice slowly sounded. It was like a touch of coldness from the depths of hell, embellishing the fox person's heart. Immediately, the fox person felt a trace of fear. At the same time as Lin Yuan's voice fell, all the demonic beasts in the wounded battalion commander stood up and surrounded the Vulpera with cold faces. Pairs of eyes full of ruthlessness and indifference fell, forming a sharp contrast with the fervent and reverent eyes when the Vulpera had just arrived outside Shunning City. Bai Lu and King Kong followed Lin Yuan and walked a few hundred meters away from the camp where the wounded were placed before they stopped. "How is the battle going?" Lin Yuan glanced at King Kong and took the initiative to ask. He still remembered that King Kong's innate ability was to strengthen his body. It was difficult for ordinary swords to hurt him. Although he didn't have the special effect of the Golden Body secret art, in terms of defensive power, he was not inferior to the Golden Body secret art. So even King Kong was injured like this, which was really something that Lin Yuan didn't expect. King Kong looked at the battlefield outside the camp and said in a deep voice, "You also saw it. Although the individual combat ability of these humans is not as good as us demon beasts, their determination to protect their homeland is right here. 100 humans may not be able to withstand a round of attack from the demon beasts, but before the demon beasts tear these 100 humans apart, they will not retreat even half a step." Speaking until here, King Kong shook his head and a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. The human's behavior was not only to defend to the death, but also to play with all kinds of tricks. For example, the battle at the front lines was still ongoing, but the human side still dared to send out troops to attack the camp where the demonic beasts were taking care of the injured. As for those who attacked the demonic beast palace's food supply team, there were even more of them. In the beginning of the plan of the demon beasts, the human side was able to rely on Shunning City to defend the front line, which was all they could do. But when the war really started, they suddenly realized that things didn't seem to be so. The human side's regular army was defending the city wall of Shunning City to the death. Under the situation where there was no protection array, they could firmly restrict the demon beasts on the city wall and prevent them from advancing an inch. Even if the number of lives lost by both sides was astronomical, the demon beasts couldn't afford to delay. All kinds of mercenaries and demon slayers went out at night every day, crazily attacking the demon beasts that were alone. Although the other 6 dynasties stood on the opposite side of the Shenwu dynasty, their attitude towards the demon beasts was the same. They didn't want to see the demon beasts become stronger again. Therefore, although they were indifferent to this matter on the surface, in private, all kinds of demon slayers and mercenaries went to the Hengduan mountain range more and more frequently. Those demon kings who didn't participate in the crusade against the Shenwu dynasty had already reported this matter to the demon beast palace more than once. Compared to the Shenwu dynasty, which was fighting on all sides, the demon beast palace was fighting on all 7 fronts. Bai Lu gave a general introduction of the situation, and his face showed a dignified expression. He said in a deep voice, "We can't afford to delay more than the human side, so the Demon Beast Palace has urged us more than once to start the final battle quickly and strive to take down Shunning City and the nearby cities in one breath. In short, they want us to end the battle quickly." End the battle quickly. Lin Yuan's eyes showed a hint of contemplation. He couldn't figure out what the Demon Beast Palace wanted to do. After all, in his opinion, the Demon Beast Palace could be said to have profited greatly from this battle. However, there was always a bottom line. Once they broke through Shunning City, the Shenwu dynasty wouldn't be so passive towards the northern frontier anymore. At that time, all kinds of actions against the Demon Beast Palace would be more blatant, and it wouldn't be impossible for them to send their army into the Hengduan mountain range. With the Demon King Kirin scheming, there was no way he didn't think of this step, right? Could it be? Lin Yuan slowly murmured. Bai Lu, who noticed Lin Yuan's abnormality, was slightly startled. It was obvious that Lin Yuan had thought of something. Bai Lu couldn't help but lower his voice and ask, "What do you mean?" "Looks like this time, the Shenwu dynasty is planning to die and not bow down. I guess, there might be some kind of treasure in the Shenwu dynasty's territory that has awakened, so that force came to ask for it. However, the Shenwu dynasty wasn't willing to hand it over, so the conflict between the two sides broke out. According to the current situation, the Shenwu dynasty's destruction is just a matter of time. There are only 2 possibilities for them to be stubborn like this. Either that treasure is about to mature, so the Shenwu dynasty plans to guard it to the death and use it as soon as it matures, completely cutting off the other party's thoughts." Lin Yuan's eyes became more and more serious. Chapter 264. Either the treasure has a limited time to ripen, and if we can't harvest it within that time, no one will be able to obtain it. Based on the current situation, this possibility is very high. After all, to be able to force the top powers to shed all pretense of cordiality and break the power structure of the Tianwu continent, this treasure must be extremely terrifying. If the Shenwu dynasty obtains this treasure, it might be possible for them to surpass the other party. Therefore, in the first case, the other party still has to consider the retaliation from the Shenwu dynasty in the future, so they won't give the Shenwu dynasty any chance of survival. However, if no one can obtain this treasure, the other party won't continue to pay such a huge price to wage an all-out war with the Shenwu dynasty. Although it will make the Shenwu dynasty suffer for a period of time, this matter can be considered to be over. Lin Yuan's voice slowly sounded out, and the seriousness in his eyes became more and more intense. Right now, the Monster Beast Palace was urging them to end the battle quickly. Could it be that they planned to use these external monster beasts to attract the Shenwu dynasty's troops to guard the treasure? Once the other party's troops were transferred, they would launch a strong attack and directly seize the treasure? The possibility of this method succeeding was very high, but to the external monster beasts of the Hengduan mountain range, it wasn't very good. The Shenwu dynasty had paid such a huge price, and if the treasure was still taken away in the end, how crazy would Lei Qiuxing, who would rather everyone not get anything than lower his head and admit defeat, become? He probably wouldn't even wait for the Shenwu dynasty to recover and would immediately take revenge on the powers that had targeted them. After the Shenwu dynasty suffered a heavy blow, they wouldn't be able to take revenge on the external monster beasts of the Hengduan mountain range. Wouldn't it be easy for them to take revenge on the external monster beasts? After thinking through the crux of the matter, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that his entire body was in a bad state. He seemed to have been inexplicably abandoned by the other party. However, Lin Yuan was also very curious. What kind of conditions did the other party offer to actually make the Beast King Kirin, who had always been protective of his own people, give up on the external monster beasts of the Hengduan mountain range? Aren't we abandoned? Bai Lu's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. Initially, the white deer did not think of this. After all, the Beast Lord Kirin was famous for being protective of his own people. Although he was suspicious of the Monster King's constant urging for them to fight, he did not think too much about it. However, now that the Black Serpent had laid out the logic of the situation, even if the white deer did not want to believe it, it had to admit that it was the truth. Lin Yuan's eyes paused for a moment in the direction of Shunning City, and a smile appeared on his face. If the Shenwu dynasty really acted as the higher-ups expected, then the outer demon beasts would naturally be crazily retaliated by the Shenwu dynasty. However, what if the higher-ups' wishful thinking fell through? The Shenwu dynasty was not a mad dog that would bite anyone it saw. Tomorrow, we will start the final battle. Gather all the demon beasts that can fight and attack Shunning City. If I don't give the order to retreat, no one is allowed to step back. Do you understand? Lin Yuan's eyes rested on the faces of Bai Lu and King Kong. The two beast kings who had cooperated with Lin Yuan before nodded tacitly. After all, this black serpent, who was much more cunning than humans, dared to say so, which meant that it already had a plan in mind. At this time, they only needed to cooperate with the Black Serpent, and the rest would be up to the Black Serpent's arrangement. At the same time, in Shunning City, the 7 city lords of the border cities gathered together. The city lord of Shunning City narrowed his eyes slightly and looked around at all the city lords in the meeting room and said in a deep voice, "Other than the newcomer Little Lei, everyone is old friends. No matter how we get along on normal days, but at this time, we are the closest of comrades, so I will be frank with you." At this point, the city lord of Shunning City paused for a moment, and when everyone's attention was focused on him, he nodded with satisfaction and said in a clear voice, "This morning, I have met with the emissary sent by the imperial capital. He said that the demon beasts may launch a general attack on us at any time, but the imperial capital has no extra manpower and resources to support us. So, we can only rely on ourselves for the upcoming battle. If anyone has any good countermeasures, feel free to speak up." One of the city lords put his hands behind his head and said with a smile, "I am very curious. The imperial capital usually does not pay attention to our northern frontier. How is it that they are better informed than us? We don't even know when the demon beasts will launch a general attack, but the imperial capital knows? Is there someone playing some conspiracy behind our backs?" When he said this, the city lord's gaze fell on Lei Fan's face. Everyone knew the purpose of Lei Fan coming to the northern frontier. People like them who stayed near the Hengduan mountains all year round had an unresolvable hatred with the demon beasts. So, for people like Lei Fan who was friendly with the demon beasts, they all had resentment in their hearts. Is that thing? It's about to mature. The city lord of Shunning City sighed and said, "Those people can't wait any longer, but the war is very anxious. Only our side and the demon beasts have not gone all out, and both sides are still testing each other. So, the people over there, I guess they want to let the demon beasts break through our Shunning City, and then drive straight in, attracting the last forces of the imperial capital to quell the chaos." When his voice fell, the whole meeting room was silent, and almost everyone's gaze fell on the city lord of Shunning City. "Gentlemen, Our victory or defeat will not only determine the direction of this war, but also whether the Shenwu dynasty will rise or fall. I don't ask everyone to fight to the death in their posts, but I hope that everyone can clear their minds. We are all old officials of the Shenwu dynasty, and if the Shenwu dynasty falls, none of us will have a good time. When he said this, the city lord of Shunning City stood up from his seat and bowed to the front. Please. Lei Fan crossed his arms in front of his chest, squinted his eyes and said, "The demon beasts have been suffering losses in our hands, but when the demon beasts really get angry, other than hiding, there is nothing we can do. Personally, I think it's better to stop all the hunting activities for the demon beasts, and rely on the protection of Shunning City to stall for time with the demon beasts." I don't agree. A city lord with the face of a thunder god stood up angrily and glared at Lei Fan as he said, "Little brat, do you know how many men we have lost in the battle with the demonic beasts, and how many resources we have exhausted? You want us to stall for time with the demon beasts? Do you really think we can afford to fight? If we don't fight now, are we waiting for the demon beasts to come in and slaughter us when we are too hungry to fight with them?" Chapter 265. City Lord Lei Gong was born in the military and had performed very well in all the operations against the Hengduan Mountains. He was also the only one among the 7 who had climbed from the commander of the Garrison Legion to the position of City Lord. Therefore, his character had always been radical. Lei Fan's eyes turned slightly and stopped at City Lord Lei Gong for a moment. Then he said indifferently, "Senior Huang, the best way to deal with it now is to rely on the defense of Shunning City. Once we leave Shunning City, all the advantages we have will be gone. I have calculated before that in all the battles between the Garrison Legion of the Northern Frontier City and the demonic beasts, the casualty rate is about 110. This time, the beast tide has mobilized all the demonic beasts in the periphery. The number of demonic beasts is not something we can compare with. If we give up our advantage in positional warfare and use our weakness to fight the demonic beasts, I am afraid the only outcome is death, and it will be faster than positional warfare." Speaking of this, Lei Fan spread his hands on the table and said in a deep voice, "I am against taking the initiative to attack the demonic beasts. We must gather all the forces we have to besiege Shunning City. 3 days, at most 3 days, and the imperial capital will be able to send reinforcements to us." The city lord of Shunning City was moved, but he frowned and said, "Our resources are indeed not enough to support such a large-scale army. If we gather all our men, we will not be able to hold on for 3 days. And I am afraid the demonic beasts are also aware of this. If they just surround us and don't attack." As his voice fell, the atmosphere in the meeting room suddenly became heavy. "I have resources. And I am sure that the demonic beasts will launch a general attack soon." The corner of Lei Fan's mouth rose slightly. His eyes swept across everyone's face and said, "Even if the demonic beasts don't attack, the resources in my hands can at least support you for half a month. Even if the demonic beasts don't attack, the reinforcements from the imperial capital will arrive in half a month." "You have resources? Where did you get them?" Another city lord opened his mouth. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "Everyone is trapped in Shunning City. Where did you get your resources? Don't tell me you've moved everything from Mountain Blocking City here." Lei Fan didn't reply but clapped his hands lightly. Immediately, a devil-masked man with a black cloak slowly appeared from the shadows behind Lei Fan and said indifferently, "Other than military weapons and equipment, the Association of the Demon Emperor can provide all the resources that you want." The pupils of the other 6 city lords suddenly shrank. From the way the other party appeared, it didn't seem like they had just arrived. They had probably been lurking in this meeting room for quite some time. Not only had they heard the contents of their conversation, but if they had the intention to kill, they could at least take 1 or 2 of them with them. Thinking of this, the other 6 city lords' backs were covered in a layer of cold sweat. The city lord of Shunning City calmed himself down and reached out to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. He said in a deep voice, "Who doesn't know that the Demon Emperor has connections with the demonic beasts? I heard that the demonic beasts in the Hengduan Mountains are behind you. Now that the demonic beasts and humans are about to fight, the association of the Demon Emperor has come to deliver resources to us. Who knows what kind of intentions you have? The devil-masked man laughed and replied, "Your concern is indeed correct. But the fact is, if it weren't for the Demon Emperor's secret activities, Shunning City would have fallen into the enemy's hands. Since you don't believe me, then just pretend I didn't say anything. Goodbye." Wait. The city lord suddenly stopped the devil-masked man and said in a deep voice, "If there is no problem with the resources sent by the Association of the Demon Emperor, we are willing to buy them at a premium of 20%. Although the demonic beasts are behind you, you and I are both humans. I believe you and won't let you take the risk and suffer a loss again." As a military man, he still maintained his strategic qualities, so when the other city lords were still suspecting that there was a problem with the resources, he noticed another factor: the demonic beasts behind the Association of the Demon Emperor did not want the demonic beasts to win. In addition, he was not only willing to believe in the Association of the Demon Emperor, but he also hoped to maintain this cooperative relationship. After all, there were indeed many traitors among the humans. As long as they could get better resources, they would betray anything except themselves. But to find a traitor among the demonic beasts was too difficult. Even if the demonic beasts were not loyal to the Fire Kirin, they still hated the humans. What do you think? The devil-masked man paused for a moment and his eyes fell on the other 6 city lords. Lei Fan shrugged his shoulders and crossed his arms in front of his chest. The other 5 city lords were deep in thought, and in the end, the city lord of Shunning City made the final decision and said, "This is what we mean, and we hope that we can work together happily. As long as there is no problem with the resources sent by the Association of the Demon Emperor, we will definitely not let you suffer a loss in terms of price." Happy cooperation. The devil-masked man clearly had no intention of chatting with the city lords. He only pressed down on the mask on his face, turned around, and blended into the shadows again. The eyes under the mask sharpened, and a cold glint flashed in them. Not to mention the busy humans at the moment, let's talk about Lin Yuan's side. In the past 3 days, due to the Foxman warlord's outstanding command, Lin Yuan's plan had been declared a complete failure. Not only did it not further reduce the humans' living space, but it also made the humans feel a sense of crisis. They even directly abandoned the camp and joined forces with the defenders of Shunning City. Otherwise, how could the defenders of Shunning City resist the endless beast tide? In Lin Yuan's opinion, the most terrifying thing was that the Foxman warlord didn't have the slightest idea about the human army that was exposed in the wilderness. For the past 2 days, it had been arranging for the demon beasts to launch an attack on Shunning City. This behavior was tantamount to giving up its strengths and using its weaknesses to compete with the human army. If not for the fact that the Foxman warlord was personally appointed by the Demon Emperor and was the only son of a certain subhuman elder who had served the Hengduan Mountains for many years, Lin Yuan would have thought that the Foxman warlord actually had a double identity like himself and was deliberately sending monsters to their deaths. Black Snake, the monsters below are ready. King Kong's roar awakened Lin Yuan from his contemplation. Lin Yuan was silent for a moment. His heterochromatic eyes lit up again, and he said in a deep voice, "Let's go." Lin Yuan took the lead, and the group of beast kings followed closely behind. Behind them were the monsters on the outskirts of the Hengduan Mountains. The majestic group of monsters strode toward Shunning City. Their eyes were filled with ruthlessness, and when they looked in the direction of Shunning City, they became extremely cold. Chapter 266. 2 hours later. The Shifter Emperors Association had temporarily set up various strongholds in Shunning City to transport batches of goods and materials. The scribes of the City Lord's mansion of Shunning City were calculating and estimating the goods. After both sides had completed the handover, the members of the Association of the Shifter Emperors slowly began to evacuate from the south gate of Shunning City. That was the passage that Lin Yuan had reserved for the members of the Association of the Shifter Emperor. As long as they left Shunning City within the time limit, they would not be blocked by the demonic beasts. Just in case, Lin Yuan had specially assigned by Lu and Jin Gang to be in charge of this area. Even if the other beast kings had other ideas, they would not be able to find a reason to interfere. The city lord of Shunning City crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at the Shifter Emperor's association of the Shifter Emperor with burning eyes. The goods that the association of the Shifter Emperor sold to them were far beyond their imagination. It was almost enough to sustain everyone in Shunning City for a month. If they were frugal, this period could be extended for another 5 to 8 days. It could be said that with such a batch of goods in hand, as long as they did not seek death, the demonic beasts would not be able to force them to the brink of death. Lei Fan took the opportunity to walk to the side of the city lord of Shunning City and asked, "What are you thinking about?" The city lord of Shunning City almost had the word "something on his mind" written on his face. To Lei Fan, this was no doubt the best opportunity to get closer to the real ruler of the northern frontier. Naturally, he would not let go of this opportunity. This existence that calls itself the Shifter Emperor is a very troublesome fellow. I have been thinking about this for a while. Is cooperating with it to get what we need or to drink poison to quench our thirst? The city lord of Shunning City sighed and squinted his eyes as he said, "Now, the Black Snake is most likely the Shifter Emperor. But I feel that such a powerful existence would not show itself so casually. Rather than saying that the Black Snake is the Shifter Emperor, it would be better to say that the real Shifter Emperor has been standing behind the Black Snake all this time, at a place that we cannot see, watching our every move." The words of the city lord of Shunning City immediately gave Lei Fan goosebumps. This question was also something that he had been thinking about recently. Was cooperating with the Black Snake a win-win situation, or was he drinking poison to quench his thirst? Lei Fan knew about many demonic beasts, but it was his first time seeing an existence like the Black Serpent. In the Hengduan Mountains, it could be said that the Black Serpent was vicious and merciless. It could even be said that the Black Serpent was like a warmonger, constantly clashing with other demonic beasts and absorbing nutrients from the war to become stronger. However, under such circumstances, the Black Serpent was able to perfectly fulfill its role as the king of beasts. After going through so many wars, the Stoneclaw Forest did not show any signs of weakening. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. Its territory grew bigger and bigger, and the number of demonic beasts increased. Back then, he came to the northern frontier full of ambition, intending to use the Black Snake as a springboard to return to the Hengduan mountain range to hunt. But now, he had fallen to the point where he had to rebuild Mountain Blocking City. Because of the sudden war, he did not even have the chance to rebuild Mountain Blocking City and was directly chased away by the demon beasts to Shunning City to survive. However, he was happy to cooperate with the Black Snake. This contradictory feeling made Lei Fan's hair stand on end, and his face began to become cloudy and uncertain. This Black Snake seemed to be King poisonous. Dang 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 dang. A series of urgent alarms suddenly rang out. Lei Fan and the city lord of Shunning City raised their heads at the same time, and said with a face full of horror, "Has it begun? Isn't this association of demon emperors a little too extreme?" Originally, they thought that the members of the association of demon emperors would leave before the demon beasts began to attack Shunning City. But who would have thought that not long after the members of the association of demon emperors left Shunning City, the demon beasts would directly attack? Although Shunning City was a city with only 2 city walls, in theory, as long as one left from the southern city gate, it would be safe. If one went deeper, it would be the territory of humans. Although all the garrisons in the surrounding areas had been transferred to Shunning City, there were still forces like the Mercenary Union, Demon Slayer Union, Merchant Union, and so on. If ordinary demon beasts went there, they would definitely not be able to get away. But even if the demon beasts did not go deep, it did not mean that they would leave a way out for the humans. The flying demon beasts could directly cross over Shunning City to the wilderness in the south to surround and kill the escaping humans. Before the war was completely over, any escapees would be regarded as a hunting target. The reason why the association of demon emperors was said to be extreme was because if they were a little slower, the Association of Demon Emperors would have left the city 3 minutes later and become a live target for the flying demon beasts. But now, it was different. The Association of Demon Emperors had left at the right time. After the firepower on the city walls was attracted, when the flying demon beasts crossed over Shunning City, it was estimated that the cavalry of the Association of Demon Emperors would already be out of the flying demon beasts' attack range. This sort of timing was just too ingenious, and it even made Lei Fan and the others think that the Demon Emperor would send them resources without any prior discussion with the demonic beasts, and it was completely a spontaneous action by them as humans. In an instant, many people's attitudes towards the Demon Emperor's conference changed quite a bit. Let's fight first. City Lord Lei Gong walked towards the city walls with a solemn face and said in a clear voice, "These demon beasts are like cockroaches, dauntlessly rushing in front of you. If you can't kill them all in one breath, then the number of demon beasts gathering will increase and the speed of them gathering will also increase." Although the demon beasts did not like to bully the weak and fear the strong, but it was a biological instinct to avoid danger. If the first wave of attack of the demon beasts was defeated in an instant, then the demon beasts behind would have to think twice before rushing forward. If they wanted to have a chance to breathe, they had to directly kill the demon beasts. It was best to disperse them in one round. Otherwise, once they were held back by the demon beasts, not only would the humans' physical strength be unable to keep up with the demon beasts, even their numbers would be reduced. So once the two sides fought a tug of war, it was only a matter of time before the city walls fell. Although the humans were better at fighting in the streets, if they lost the first line of defense in the first round, even if they could ignore the problem of morale, there would be a buffer zone between the two sides. There would not even be a place for the soldiers to rest. Even if they were to hide in the houses, they would have to guard against the demon beasts charging in at any time. Arrange for the evacuation of the civilians. Organize people to forcefully demolish the houses. Move the separated building materials to the city walls to supplement the temporary defense equipment. The city lord residents of Shunning City had experienced many similar incidents, so the speed of giving out orders was very fast. At the same time, he was also walking towards the city walls. No matter what, as the city lord, he was personally going to the front line, which was a great boost to the morale of the soldiers. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.